But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody's checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but it cleared to be fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. Being that it's Wednesday, Weird Wednesdays as it were, I'm here tonight with your co-host Ash, the reptilian from Mars, and we'd like to say hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? This is a show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. This show is live. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, DLive, and Periscope. And we're taking your calls. As always, if you want to be part of the show tonight, give us a call at this phone number, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can find the phone number and the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And also grab the Fringe Discord as well, fringe.fm/chat. Come say hi. It's a chat room. It's a free voice client. It's tons of amazing things. Discord's a great program if you haven't encountered it yet. So please get in there and come say hello. All right. So, well, this is the most tenuous and dicey part of the entire show. Let's see if we can tune into Mars. Beep, 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 beep. Earth to Mars. Ash, do you copy? 1, 2, Ash.
Hello, humans. Hi, and it's good to be here. How you doing, Mike?
Nice, doing well. Thank you. I'm glad the uplink is nice and solid and strong today. You sound fantastic, my friend. How are things on Mars?
Same old, same old. Just waiting for Jeff Bezos to finally make the final trip here and completely conquer Mars and push me out. I don't know where I'm going to go next, but I'm dang it, I'm not working in those FBA warehouses, okay?
Gotcha. Don't do that. Now, Amazon warehouses is no, don't do that. All right. So, welcome to the show. We are tonight. We're going to talk about weird stuff, aren't we? That we got some amazing, always amazing news seems to be coming out in this day and age, right? The further we get into this, the longer this show goes. It just seems like the news just becomes more and more bizarre, more odd, and well, we've got a doozy tonight, don't we? You want to tell everybody about your channel and introduce yourself, and not everybody is up to date on exactly who we are all the time because, well, we do a lot of shows. It's hard to keep up with us, man.
It's true. Hi, my name's Ash. I'm a reptilian stranded on Mars, bent on conquering your planet somehow, some way. I have my own YouTube channel, Ash Reptilian for Mars. We're talking about all sorts of crazy stuff, normally aliens. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, the kind of stuff we listen to on here, you check out my channel. I'm here usually every Wednesday where we also talk about weird stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just glad to be here and looking forward to talking about weird stuff.
More weird stuff. All right, let's just get going. All right, as you know, we're taking your phone calls tonight, as we always do, because this is like I always say on this show. We don't have insiders. We don't have like an in with the Galactic Federation or anything like that. They have completely cast Ash out, so he's not even part of that circle. So we're just here sort of speculating. But basically, our secret weapon is you. I've always said that the wisdom of the crowd seems to be more on the ball than the experts, as they say. And so as a result of that, we are taking your phone calls tonight. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Troubled Minds is the official website. Go click that Discord link there, and the phone number is also at troubledminds.org. So one-stop shop for everything you need. The podcast is all there. It's all good. Let's look at this article. This is a little bit... Well, let's call it odd, because if I say strange, people will think that I'm talking about myself, and well, I do that too much. But check this out. This is from sciencealert.com. Mysterious new Borg DNA seems to assimilate genes from different organisms. Oh, weird, right? That's weird. How could this go wrong? This is weird. Anyway, let's read just a little bit of this, and then we'll dig into this, Ash. I think there's some larger implications here, as always, right? I think when you start with a topic of like we did last night, I tried to kind of take the alien angle, and it didn't seem to work because there was just too much to talk about in the very first article that we pulled up. So maybe that's the case tonight. We'll see. But straight from the article here, this is from July 19th. Fresh news as always from us. Mysterious strands of DNA that seemingly assimilate genes from many different organisms. See what I said there? Organisms. In their surrounding environment.
Way to do it.
Whoa, yeah. That's how you do it. Organisms.
This would become way more popular if that was the case.
Exactly. So they assimilate genes from many different organisms in their surrounding environment have been discovered in a Californian backyard. There's another reason not to live in California, by the way. Anyhow, scientists have named these elements Borgs, and their discovery could help us not just understand the evolution of microorganisms, but their interactions within their ecosystems and their role in the broader environment. According to geomicrobiologist Jill Banfield from the University of California, Berkeley, Borgs could make for a tremendously significant discovery. Quote, "I haven't been this excited about a discovery since CRISPR," she added on Twitter. We found something enigmatic that, like CRISPR, is associated with microbial genomes. All right. So again, right, here's the paper. As always, like I'm gonna put my links in the chat, and they're actually all on YouTube already because I like to be ahead of the game these days if I can, and so it's all there. But the weirdness of this is probably tenfold, right? You can kind of take this, I don't know, so many different ways. But I think that when I first saw this, my eyes popped out of my head a little bit, considering that, well, if we're talking about genomes, like, again, Borg DNA assimilating genes from different organisms, and of course the first thing that came to my mind was the Borg from Star Trek, right? Like you will be assimilated, right? What's the line? Assimilate, or what is it? Resistance is futile, right? Something like this. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, just to begin here, Ash, as we get going tonight?
Yeah, I mean, DNA is one of those mysteries, right, that we quite haven't solved. And DNA's amazing. I mean, I have some DNA facts we can go over in a little bit if you want. But DNA's weird. It's kind of like a programming code, and that you can all of us living creatures come from. And it's just so strange that supposedly DNA came to fruition with just random chance and time, right? And now I get it. It's a lot of time. It's an incomprehensible amount of time. But still, at some point, it is weird that we're all come from this program, this code, and that, we're discovering new elements about it all the time. Now, she mentioned CRISPR. If you're not familiar with CRISPR, CRISPR is a technology that is, I think, emerged in the last decade. And it basically hijacks the function that is involved with editing your DNA. So, like, when you get sick and you develop an immunity, CRISPR is what goes. Not CRISPR, but the technique that it uses is what goes into your DNA to gain that immunity forever. Right? It changes your DNA, and it literally edits it. It moves over and edit it. So we learned how to hijack that process and change DNA. And I think over the last 2 years, someone actually edited humans and was able to make them immune to some diseases. I think it was some Chinese doctor. That's on the books. Now, you can only imagine what the government has done, right? In the background. And I actually suspect that about this too, that this is probably a discovery that probably already happened, and now we're being whoops, so that we can use it. Who knows the ramifications? Are we gonna have human pig chimeras? Is this where that comes from? I don't know.
The Alex Jones bit there. Yeah, I think we're probably going to say again. So this is an organism that was found in California, right? So in somebody's backyard in California. So I think probably what's going to happen is we'll probably see a wet market pop up somewhere nearby, and then wham! You know what I'm saying? That's where this came from. Yeah. That's totally where this came from, right? Somewhere in California at those notorious wet markets they have out there. But point being is that there's some weirdness here, meaning that, as we always say, life is strange. Life is beyond that. Even it's one of those things the chaos theory, that whole bit with the Jurassic Park and Michael Crichton, and life finds a way. And I think when you start looking at things like this that may or may not have been discovered, I think for sure, right, something like this has probably been concocted in a lab. Like we say, in many cases, that DARPA, that technology, is so far ahead of what we have in the commercial space right now that you got to imagine things like this have been kind of maybe been brewing, right, kind of under the hood type of situation, in the cauldron, right, as you might say, or whatever, right, whatever, right next to gain of function, right,
exactly. They're right next to each other. Exactly.
So here's the new vision, right? So you've got DARPA is this dark room with this huge cauldron in it, right? And there's these people wearing these hats that say gain of function, right? And they're stirring this green brew, right? I mean, that's DARPA, right? I mean, well, not literally, but that's kind of what it is. And they're really creating things like this. So, it doesn't surprise me that we have this new Borg DNA that likes to assimilate genes from different organisms. But what it seems bizarre and strange with the rest of this stuff is, where did it come from? It's we've been studying all kinds of stuff all over the earth forever. So this suddenly just by some synchronicity, a scientist goes in the backyard and just scoops up some dirt from literally from their backyard and starts running tests on it, and they find this. It seems weird, don't you think? I think a little bit, as far as the origins of whatever this thing happens to be, this new life form.
Yeah, they mentioned in the article that they noticed something that was funny. Environmental DNA is an excellent way to identify the range of organisms that inhabit an ecosystem. But in their scoop of mud, I guess they were looking for viruses, right? The first was discovered in mud, dredged up from Bainfield's backyard. She was working with geneticist Basim Al-Shaib of UC Berkeley to identify viruses that infect anoxic microbes known as archaea that live in wetland environments. So anyway, she's just scooping mud, right? And then they notice something funny. And funny is a term in, I guess, in this field that is almost a eureka moment. It's like when you find an outlier, there might be like a new understanding behind that. But yeah, they're just scooping mud, looking for something else, and supposedly they found this. I don't know. I don't buy it.
Yeah, right. Being a conspiracy show here, it just seems like once again, like, oh, we're just going to go look for viruses, but we're going to find this brand new thing, right? It's natural. It's from nature. I don't know. Is that like the new cover for everything? We're going to be able to say things that were potentially created in labs and maybe, found in a scoop of mud or whatever, or found in a wet market or whatever it's going to be. Is that the new cover now? It's like, okay, well, yeah, look, we found this in nature. It's a zoonotic, from the mud. What do you call a transmission from a golem to a person? Is that zoonotic still? I don't think zoonotic is the word for that. I think that's black magic. But anyway, right? You get my point. It seems like, I don't know, like as more of this stuff seems to surface, is this the new cover story, right? Just kind of finding things in nature.
I mean, man, they don't even need a good one. I mean, we can't even prove, we couldn't even say, like 2 months ago, we couldn't even say this, right? On any of the channels, you and I had to be very careful about this. We couldn't say that the COVID virus might have came from the COVID lab that was like 2 blocks away from where it emerged, right? Like that's the kind of craziness that the official narrative has, like the hold it has on our culture and our zeitgeist. And now if you go against the narrative, you get banned, you get stripped away, and they're passing even more legislation. They're clamping down even harder. So I mean, do they even need a good cover story anymore? You saw the Jon Stewart skit where he's talking about that. So anyway, and besides, it's beyond most people's understanding. I don't understand it. At some level, you just gotta, you have to trust the science, as they say, and you just gotta take their word for it. And, warn it of anything super obvious as the coronavirus testing lab, being right next to Wuhan or being in Wuhan, and warning anything that's not obvious, it's gonna slide right past us. And then if anyone ever whistleblows, they just destroy that person's career and remove them, and it's done. I don't know. I'm sorry to be pessimistic. I'm just saying, in the pharmaceutical thing, when things become this complex, who are we to say anything?
Yeah, right, exactly. And so with things, hidden behind academics and, this whole bit, I always say paywalls, where it's not always the case, but it's definitely if you're working on something in a, top secret lab as per government policy, this stuff just doesn't get out. And so whereas you can say, well, maybe this is an academic thing, I think it's more likely, well, this could be natural, of course, like we have to always consider, right, the most obvious thing. But then I think if you take it a step further, it seems more likely that things like this are created in government labs, sort of like that DNA, or sorry, the DARPA cauldron, like I was describing it. I don't know. So that's the speculation here. And as we get going, we're going to talk about aliens and how maybe in some capacity this is maybe it is that alien invasion, right? So think of it like we've said in the past that if aliens came and there was some sort of takeover, it wouldn't be like a direct hostile attack and like an alien invasion like in the movies, right? It might be something like, I don't know, an organism that assimilates DNA from other creatures and is maybe viral in scope and maybe the way it distributes itself, and who knows, right? So I think like I said when we started this, there's a lot of ways this can go. Is it is this whatever natural? Is this something that's been here for a long time? Is it something that's just now waking up because of global warming, right? Which literally everything is being blamed on global warming, by the way. Literally everything. There's a fire, global warming, right? There's a hurricane, it's global warming. Everything's global warming, right? It's climate change. Every single thing. So maybe, well, let's just blame this on climate change while we're at it. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the climate isn't changing. Of course it is. But I think it's folly as people to expect that we can, through some, stroke of a pen, change it and control it on a worldwide basis. It makes no sense to me. Sure, we can try, But is that possible? I don't even know. But I digress. We're not talking about that in particular tonight. But that's the case here with the rest of this. Do you think it could be, Ash, like sort of an alien sort of a invasion situation? We got a call here too. We can take in just a sec. But do you want to comment on that? We'll take the call and then we'll keep on trucking tonight.
Well, yeah, I actually have some. You're trying to you see this guy. He's like, all right, I'm gonna just throw a little bit of alien in there. Let's start this fire. Just get a little kindle that
and
sucker.
I'm gonna bring it all the way back. And Ash is gonna have an organism. Go ahead, sir. Go right ahead.
Nice callback joke. I love it. So, we're trying to figure out why. Not too long ago, humans had a sudden growth spurt in our brains, in our noggins, that have created the modern day human. And it turns out the modification of that DNA was just one genome. One. That one genome did all these things that cascaded into a larger brain size. And we have turned around and experimented on monkeys for the same. Meaning that it's highly unlikely a complex mutation like that happens so suddenly and so quickly without an external force. If we look back at like old religions and different things like that, you got the Anunnaki story where the gods came down, they found the human, they modified them so they can have a workforce and this and that, and then stories in religion, God creating man from the image of himself / maybe chimp, human, whatever. So you got all these stories, these narratives. So what is to stop, aliens from just dropping stuff off? Let's say they release something. Maybe they release COVID. I don't know. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that in order for them to make modifications to this garden, potentially we are a garden, they could just drop something off, or maybe inherently release something on this planet on accident. They say that a lot of organisms are just like projects for these beings where they just created, like look at the octopus. Where does that come from? It's got like a brain in each arm. That doesn't even make sense. They like trace the lineage of it, and there's so many like breaks in it. It doesn't make sense. It's got all these things that shouldn't. And I saw a king crab today. I was watching someone like prep some king crab, and that thing looked alien. And just anyway, we don't know. It's really easy. Like if your genetics are advanced and whatnot, our initial suspicion is the government. Well, if there are beings that are way more advanced than them, this kind of stuff is easy. So they could literally introduce an organism that would completely change the face of this planet forever, pretty effortlessly, right? And so maybe that's what this is.
Agreed. All right, let's go to Jack real quick, and let's do this. Jack, you're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Ash. What's up, my friend? We got like a minute, so if you want to hang over to past the break, you're welcome to. But go right ahead. We got like a minute for you.
Yeah, this is Jack in Wisconsin.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, I want to say hi to Ash. Say hi to you, Mike.
Hey, man.
And say what I have to talk about is going to take way too long for a minute. So
okay,
I liked what Ash is saying though too. So I want to talk about that. So maybe I can hold over till after the break.
Okay, hang tight. I'm going to mute you here. We're going to keep you on the line, but we'll come back to you right after the break. Okay, so hang tight. We'll be right back with you. Thank you for being patient with me.
Okay.
Thanks, Jack. Be right back. We'll be right back to you. Okay, so that's what's going on tonight. We're talking about this weirdness, right? This really strange, mysterious new Borg DNA that seems to assimilate genes from different organisms. Is this, what would you call it, not of this Earth? Is this from a lab? Is this dropped off by aliens? What in the world is this? It's scooped from the backyard in California. Is where it is. Anyway, let's do the thing. Let's play the music, and this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. I'm here with your co-host Ash, the reptilian from Mars. We've got Jack on deck on the phone, and we're taking your calls tonight, discussing all the things, right? This weird Borg DNA or whatever the heck is going on. Give us a call. Love to hear from you. 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. Don't go anywhere more after the break. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here with your co-host, Ash, the reptilian from Mars. And we're streaming live on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we are taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we're talking about this strange, mysterious new Borg DNA that seems to assimilate genes from different organisms found in California. What does this mean? Well, we have no idea, and that's why we're wondering about this. Interesting. From a lab, not from a lab, dropped from outer space. Who the heck knows? That's what we're talking about. That's what we're considering, and I hope you'll join us in that conversation. Let's see if we can tune back into Mars. Beep, beep. Earth to Mars. Do you copy? You there, buddy? Earth to Ash. Ow.
Marco.
Yo ho, yeah, welcome back. All right, so we were making some points before we took off, and we got Jack on deck here. You want to say anything to Jack? He said, "What's up, Ash? What's up, Ash? How you doing, buddy?"
What's up, Jack? You will be spared in the invasion. I like your attitude.
There it is. You will be spared. All right, so let's do it. Let's go straight to Jack. He's been waiting on us for a little bit. Let's do it. Jack, welcome back to the show. Thank you for waiting. What's on your mind tonight? What do you think about this this weird DNA and the assimilation thing?
Well, hey, Ash, when you check out my DNA, you're going to find out that I'm a half-breed anyway, so I'm glad you're going to spare me, but you probably would have spared me anyway, so just wanted to say that. Thank you, sir. I'm very
welcome,
human.
Go right
What's
ahead,
on your mind tonight, man?
Go ahead, buddy.
And I will bow down, so don't worry about that. That's no problem.
Oh,
anyway,
great,
I want to talk about how,
upper management. Upper management.
Oh, if there's some possibilities, I definitely, I can do some foot rubs and whatnot. It's no problem. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about Europe. There's a big push basically for non-GMO foods, and a lot of people are actually getting the chance to grow non-GMO foods. But I was thinking about recently with Bill Gates buying a bunch of land in, the central sector of the United States. I was kind of worried about that because I was thinking, like, well, what does he want to do to us now? He already made the frogs turn gay. What is he going to do now? It's kind of upsetting to me. So we're talking about, changing people's genetics. I've heard that they put genetics in milk and stuff too, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it's giving women cancer, like breast cancer, at a higher rate, and it's giving guys gynecomastia. And I got to tell you, I don't drink a lot of milk, but I'm starting to develop some kind of they're not pecs, but they kind of like droop over. So it's like, I'm wondering myself, like, am I kind of getting genetically modified where these Illuminati want all the men to have nice looking, gazabos? You know what I'm saying?
Wait, what? I'm gonna pretend like I didn't hear that. But okay, yeah, I know what you're saying. Here. Is this what's going on with this type of stuff? And again, somebody mentioned in the chat there on Facebook that if you find it in nature, you cannot patent this thing, right? So maybe that's part of the new angle, right? So like they've already kind of in a black budget patented this stuff. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, you guys, I live in Wisconsin, and I've driven out to the dairy lands because there's a lot of like cows and stuff. And boy, you don't want to like take too much of a deep breath when you're driving out there or whatever. But the thing is, when you're going past these farmlands, they actually have like little signs on each part of the corn lands that tell you like what kind of pesticide and what brands they use. And they have like a specific like serial number on each one that you drive past. It's very creepy because it's almost like kind of like telling people as they drive by, like, oh, okay, this is the GMO that we use. We use this kind of brand or whatever, this chemical, and it's broadly displaying it like as you're driving on the interstate or whatever, and you're just kind of like, that's kind of weird. Like, why do they have to have these signs telling everybody what kind of pesticides you're using or whatever? So I think that's kind of weird,
Ash? Hot take?
Yeah.
Alien hot take?
No, yeah. I mean, actually, so you mentioned the diet changes, and testosterone has been plummeting all across especially the Western world. Testosterone has been plummeting. The testosterone is what you need to like fight back against oppressors. Like if you can remove testosterone from your populace, there will be no resistance, right? So, what are all the reasons for that? They have suspicions, but there's nothing quite definitive. But you could assume it's from diet, right? And there's a variety of different things. I know milk itself lowers your testosterone, and I've cut it out of my diet completely. But it's hard. It's hard to like eat healthy these days. Because, in America, everything's bad for you. It's like everything's bad for you. You go to the store, and if you start eliminating sugar and all this stuff, there's nothing left to eat. You're just eating grass, And at the end of the day, you don't know. And, Bill Gates and all these kind of people, as Alex Jones would say, they're globalists. They're making global decisions. But, like, you yourself, you as an individual are kind of a casualty in that. You're just a number. Right? When you make those large decisions, that you make them at the cost of the individual. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man. And it's interesting. I've actually never heard that about Wisconsin and the pesticides. And you know what? And that's another thing. It's business. It's, again, it's numbers, right? You save money here. You do this. You do that. Who's to say what's in our food and what effect it's having on us? And then, if Bill Gates is up to something, it probably can't be good, right?
Yeah.
Good call, man. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, we got to keep on moving. So let's wrap this up, Jack. Appreciate the call, my friend. What do you think?
Yeah, Ash, I just wanted to say, I definitely, I'm a good bootlicker. I know how to shine boots and stuff too. So I just want to say, when Armageddon comes, I'll be right there in the front line with saluting you. So I just wanted to let you know. Thank you, sir.
I'll put in a good word for you, Jack. I appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you, Jack, for making a great example for the rest of you humans.
There it is, right. Jack from Wisconsin. Great call. He's been with the show for quite a bit now. Good stuff. There you go. We got. We know who the bootlickers are because they just tell us. They'll just tell us. Yeah, Matt. What's up? Matt says it's impossible to eat healthy in the chat. It kind of is. Like I'm always saying, right?
Hard.
Like but it's part of like the human experience where we're finite anyway. So I'm not saying that go jump off a bridge. Please don't quote me on that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that like everything's bad for you. If you breathe too much water, that can kill you. Like even if it's pure, it's this is the sort of thing that as everything, right? Balance is everything, and so just don't do too much of any one thing. And I think you limit your poisons to different intakes instead of the same intake. If you catch my meaning. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, right. Like everything's poisonous. It's terrible. But okay, so let's get back to this then. All right, so back to the alien thing and the organism that you were having. Is this now? Do you think this is actually instead of the first thing being, like we said, maybe this is created in a lab and dropped in somebody's backyard? Like I said, it just so happens that the scientist scooped this up in my backyard, right? And wow, like if that's not a controlled setting or situation, what is, right? They didn't go find this out at some national park or anything like that. They're like, oh, look how synchronistic this is. I was scooping for viruses, and we found this new thing, right? This new Borg DNA assimilator, right? Weird stuff.
Well, how do you just find it now? How do you find, look, they say it's just as exciting as CRISPR, right? So CRISPR is like, we're in a new tier of like progress, scientific progress. CRISPR is actually a tremendous technology, absolutely insane. I mean, the potential for CRISPR, it literally allows us to edit DNA. And so CRISPR will change humankind forever. How we think about things, how we do things. So if a technology comes out of this, there's no bro. It's like, how did you not find this until now? All the years of scooping mud and looking under microscopes, and you just find it now in a backyard in California. It just reminds you of the scene in Jurassic Park when the heavier guys got the can of of spray, and then he like falls down the mountain. It's like that. He's like, oh, oops, and then like he leaves, and then he gives an anonymous tip, and that's all it takes, dude. And like, if I'm a scientist, I'm gonna take the tip, and I'm not gonna say Jack. Just like Jack said some stuff. This Jack, I won't say anything. The Jack caller, by the way. I don't know, bad joke, but yeah, that's it. And I heard a rumor that during the Trump administration, the military, because we're kind of losing the race with China and a couple other outside influences are provoking us, that we were rubber stamping, trying to get all this like DARPA technology out. And so like they were basically releasing patents at 3 times the rate of normal and stuff like that. So is that a pattern that's going on here? Or is the world transforming? Is the black budget, the hidden? I mean, we're kind of like we're definitely putting 2 and 2 together, or we are out a little bit in left field. There's not enough evidence to kind of suggest this, so we are speculating, right? But the rate of progress that we're making, it's crazy. It's like there's like robot drones flying around, and we got Borg DNA, and we got 5G, we got all this stuff going on, and it's like, man, it's hard to keep up. And like, what's going to happen out of this now?
Yeah, and so notably, like I said, it's funny that literally every article that you pull up, just about any damn thing anymore, they're talking about global warming, and just like they are on this, right? So in this, here we go. So a little bit more from the article here. So they did scoop this mud in the backyard of this particular scientist, which again seems suspicious, synchronistic, whatever you want to call it, right?
Oops.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what do you know? Look, guys, I found this thing nobody's ever found before on the history of the world in my backyard. Yeah, right? Cool. The first of the Borgs was discovered in mud dredged up from Banfield's backyard. Weird. So the first of the Borgs, I read that environmental DNA is an excellent way to identify the range of organisms that inhabit an ecosystem. But in their scoop of mud, Banfield and Al Shaib found something funny, a structure of DNA consisting of nearly 1 million base pairs. That's huge. A closer look at the sequence revealed even more peculiarities. More than half of the genes were new. It had mirrored sequences at the end of each strand, and it showed structures consistent with the ability to self-replicate. Puzzled, the researchers turned to DNA databases to see if they could find anything else that looked like their discovery. They identified 19 sequences that seemed to fit the profile, right? Meaning this thing had basically assimilated 19 different actual organisms, right? Their DNA. And it continues a little bit more. So what these DNA structures are is unclear, but they're certainly fascinating. They belong to a class of structures called extrachromosomal elements, or ECEs, which can be found outside of the chromosomes that contain most of an organism's genetic material. And so now, of course, as they continue down this article, we'll read a little bit more of this as we go and circle back. But they're trying, like the implication here is like, oh, well, we can probably use this to help, right, with climate change, is what they continue. Was my initial point here. It's like okay, wait, like literally every damn article is talking about this, which is why I'm always bringing it up, because it drives me nuts how every single thing has to be linked to this somehow. You see, right? This is how brainwash and a narrative is concocted, right? Every single thing out there is just pushing it in your face, in your face, in your face, in your face, and right, follow the science. Well, we tried that, didn't we? I think we tried that. I think we've already been through that, and it's overrated. Overrated.
It's actually funny. It's like the CNN got caught that one of their executives or employees was saying that during COVID they were just spamming COVID, like whether it was bad or not or whatever. They saw that the fear was gaining them a lot of views, and traditional media is dying, right? Because no one wants to watch that crap. Why watch that traditional media when you can watch whatever you want? So anyway, I'm going to bring it back to this, but so CNN's doing this and they're doing that, and they get caught for COVID. And then literally the guy says, well, after COVID's done, and they did their best to keep it going as long as possible, they were going to run climate change. And I remember watching that video and being like, wow, that's really scummy, right? They were going to just
Now they knew that fear is what they really needed. Since Trump was gone, they lost their like main source of media. We needed to run climate change, and then about like a week or two later, I was talking to a friend, and he was like, "Oh man, climate change, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Wow, it's right on schedule." It's like right on schedule. I haven't heard anything about climate change for 5 years, and now we're hearing about it again. And look, like if climate change is happening, we should do what we need to do. But I mean, it's just everything's an agenda. It's like everything. It's just a money making thing, and it's tough. It's tough to actually like see through and get stuff done. So anyway.
Exactly right.
What's was interesting.
Exactly. Flower in the chat says, Borg, does that mean it's bioengineered? Sorry, I'm only dropping in just now. And that's the thing, right? So clearly this is a brand new discovery. We don't have evidence of that. We're merely, like we do, right? We speculate. And by speculating, typically, if you go back on our track record, again, all of it's out there. You can go back to go back to Facebook and it's all there, right? I have taken nothing down off of Facebook. But us speculating, right, is we've kind of been like, I wouldn't say we're batting 1,000 because nobody is, but we've been kind of spot on with exactly a lot of this stuff that's happening with the pandemic, right? And a lot of these other things that we were like, oh, geez, right? Kind of how the conspiracy theorists have now been proven to be, well, conspiracy realists instead. And so as part of that, very much like we were some of the first to jump on this before anybody was even talking about COVID as a thing at all, we were discussing what's now called the lab leak hypothesis. Right? Which you couldn't say for like a year. And then now you can say it again. But we were saying it way back when, before it had an actual official name by the media. So yeah, so we're speculating. We don't know. There's no actual additional evidence here to suggest that. But there are some synchronicities like I was discussing here. If by chance, and just like Ash said, which is a great point, we've had scientists scooping mud and looking in microscopes for freaking ever, right? Forever. For hundreds of years at this point. But for some reason, just now, in the backyard of this particular scientist, there happens to be a mud scoop with something never before seen, right? That's what I'm saying. There seems to be, like I said, there's a lot of this that if this turns into something big, and I'm not saying it's dangerous, I'm saying that if they use it for something big, right? If it turns into some new technology, it'll be interesting to see why, exactly like Ash described, why we haven't discovered this until just now, and how you didn't have to go very far besides walking out the back door of a scientist to find this information. So it does seem like more of the synchronistic sort of situation that, the wink wink lab hypothesis, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, like this is the type of thing that we can't say it definitively, but we're just kind of throwing it out there and speculating. Matt says the story sounds fake. There it is. All right. Yep. So, right. Kind of. But anyway, so that's the deal. That's what we're talking about tonight. And I'll keep putting the article up, and there's more. Of course, there's always more to talk about, but it brings me to this, right? So if we're talking about like an actual biological DNA sort of, assimilating different life forms into its own genome, what about the alien implications of this? We have the Star Trek and the Borg, right? What do you know about that, Ash? Do you think that's we've talked about possibly like hive minds and things like this in the past? Do you think there's some sort of relation here, possibly? And is this maybe where this is headed?
Yeah, we've kind of. How do I gloss over this?
We got like 5 minutes. You're okay. 4 minutes.
Yeah,
there's some time.
Okay, so at the core, we'll go to left field. We'll come back. So. At the core of the abduction phenomenon there's this narrative. There's like this story that emerged. If you're interested in learning more, check out Dr. David Jacobs' work, where he interviews hundreds, if not a couple thousand, abductees, and basically filters them out, and eventually kind of starts to see like, oh wow, there's actually something here. And over decades, he kind of figures out sort of what's going on, and the fact that some extraterrestrial group or whatever they are creating alien human hybrids, like a mix between what you would see as traditional gray and human. Okay, crazy, I know, but it sounds nuts, but it's supposed to be alien, right? Aliens are supposed to not be of this world, or it's not supposed to make sense. So anyway, so the merger of the two, and it seems like these beings this story, and the story of all aliens, really, any story you hear, they have telepathy. They're kind of connected, like they're connected. So maybe like once a civilization gets to a certain point, and their science becomes advanced enough, biology pretty much unlocks your DNA, like in a sense where you're not limited by what you start with, right? It's kind of like if you're out in nature, you're not. You would be limited. You would be limited by where you grew up, where you are, right? And that's why there's all these different kinds of people, Russians, Chinese, and we all kind of grew up in our climates and whatever. But now we're in a global environment. You're not limited by those. You can literally go on the internet. You can change your life, whatever. Same thing's going to happen with DNA, where it opens up. All children could be 6 foot tall. They could be immune to all diseases. Like maybe you could install it with a shot. Like a vaccine or something. You could install these upgrades or these changes to your biology. And this is a future that we might be kind of moving toward. So who's to say extraterrestrials haven't done this already? And so for this Borg DNA to suddenly show up where it's assimilating these changes and stuff, it's just weird. It's just, is this kind of, what is this going to turn into? Is this going to turn into some sort of hybridization between species, or not only what this organism is doing, is this new, is it old, is it ancient, or the technologies that come from it? I mean, are you going to be able to have crab pinchers? You're going to be able to, there's a kid that was able to see at night. He had like cat eyes. Are we in the same ballpark here of genetics and DNA and messing? Are the aliens working with the government? I don't know. Anyway, I am speculating super hard, but this is the kind of thing that, once you understand CRISPR and you see these kind of things, science fiction, becomes science fact. It becomes possible, and it just comes down to the will to do these things, like Thanos. The strongest wills, right? Just reducing the entire population of the universe with the snap of a finger. That's called depopulation, and well, it's a conspiracy theory. It is a conspiracy theory. But okay, that's what we're talking about tonight. We're a perfect timing, Ash. You were getting really good when I say 4 minutes. You're like, blam, you boil it down to like 3 minutes and 58 seconds, man. You were getting very good at this. All right, so this is what we're talking about tonight, guys. This is the thing, right? This entire weirdness of mysterious new Borg DNA seems to assimilate genes from different organisms. And we're wondering if this is, again, one of those lab-made things. What does it look like if you have a zoonotic transmission from a golem to a human? What is it still called? Zoonotic transmission? And whatever the heck is going on with this, we're talking about this, we're thinking about this, we're speculating, and as a result of us doing that, well, we get to be ahead of the game. We don't have any facts or any inside anything. We're just kind of looking at this with a skeptical eye, going, wait a minute here, what is really going on? Which again is part of why we do this show the way we do it, and why we do that speculation. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, I'm Mike, this is Ash. We're hanging out talking about weird Borg DNA at this point. And what does this mean for not just the future here on Earth, but what does this mean for the future of, I don't know, maybe the actual Borg aliens? This is Troubled Minds, 702-957-1037. More after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Yo ho, yo ho. Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here with your co-host, Ash, the reptilian from Mars. And hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This is the show where we get together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We're taking your phone calls tonight. This show is live. We're streaming on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And if you want to be part of the show at any point tonight, dial this number, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can go to troubledminds.org and click the Discord link. Join the Discord. It's free. It's a chat client. You can type with other folks. You don't have to speak. It's not like that. I know some people are microphone shy. It's free, and it's amazing. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And also, while you're at it, go to fringe.fm/chat. Join the Discord there, and come meet lots of people. The conversation goes on 24 hours a day, as we have people who listen all over the world to the show, which we're always honored by. Thank you guys for spending your time with us. As I always say, you could be doing 10,000 other things right now, and you're here instead. And that makes our world go around. So thank you very much. But this is the most tenuous part of the show. Let's see if we can tune in to Mars. Beep, beep, Earth to Mars. Do you copy, Ash? Are you there, buddy?
This is Ash the Reptilian, sponsored by Discord.
Right?
I mean, we rant and rave about Discord so much, we might as well get sponsored, man. But I mean, I love Discord. It's the best, isn't it?
It's the best.
It's just the best.
Yeah, like in the old days. If you go back to the old days, they had like ICQ, right? That's how old I am. And it right? It just got worse and worse from there. They had like what? They had Ventrilo, and they had what's another one? What were people using? They were using Mumble.
Skype, I guess. Skype, yeah.
God, Skype punched myself in the face. Don't use Skype. but yeah. So like it's so the market was there, right? And this is why it's a beautiful thing when somebody puts a beautiful product together, because the market was there, because all of these different programs were kind of sloppy. It was like, well, they kind of work, right? But no, Discord just freaking works. Like, there's a bunch of amazing stuff you can do on Discord. You can live stream. You can share your screen. Anyway, so like you said, sponsored by Discord. We need a hat that say Discord.
yeah. It really sounds like we are sponsored.
Yeah, we're totally not. It's just an amazing thing, right? So, all right. Anyway, tonight we're talking about. We got a couple calls on deck, which we'll go to in just a sec. But let's reboot this conversation. Go ahead. Let's introduce you.
Yeah.
Real quick.
So hi, I'm Ash, Reptilian from Mars. Check out my YouTube channel. And we are talking about this Borg DNA that seemed to emerge here in California. And there was a great comment I wanted to catch by Dark Devious in YouTube. He says, researchers can edit and deliver a modified RNA, we've been hearing that a lot with the vaccines, a modified RNA that encodes a telomere extending protein to a cultured human cells. The test in lab extended or even reversed aging in lab mice. Well, there you go. We're going to have an immortal elite soon. We're going to be really screwed.
and they're going to be instead of human pig chimeras like Alex Jones with his shirt off is screaming about, it will be elite mouse hybrids. Is that what's going on here? Anyway,
I guess. Yeah.
That was a terrible joke. All right. As long as I make myself laugh and I can laugh at myself, then it's funny to me. Well, the rest
all that
of
matters, man. That's all that matters.
The rest of you guys, forget it. Forget about you. I'm laughing, and that's all that matters. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's. So we got a couple phone calls. We'll do this, but this is the thing. Anything to add to this conversation before we get going here? Mysterious new Borg DNA seems to assimilate genes from different organisms, and as you see, there's a lot of ways to take this, right? Again, we've already kind of used the lab leak hypothesis, wink, wink, right? Now that it's got a name, well, we're talking about possibly this being dropped here by an extraterrestrial, civilization per se. I don't know. Quick idea on that before we go to a couple calls we got here.
Yeah, some of the some of the people mentioned comments like, this is The Thing. The Thing is my favorite horror movie. I love that movie. Great special effects, and they still hold. It still looks great. But yeah, maybe this is like a really slow The Thing. Like it's like The Thing. One
1,000th speed. Are you holding? What is that you're holding up?
That's a big bottle of whiskey.
Oh, I thought it was like The Thing, the DVD.
No. Wow.
And you're like, no, boo, sucker. Yeah.
I got one right here. I keep one in my back pocket, the Thing DVD.
I thought, pulled it off the wall or whatever.
No.
But yeah, and that, it sounded like it is sounding like the black glue, the black goo. You know what's funny about those movies is I always suspect there's a hint of disclosure in that because some of the things that in his movies, there's some underlying themes that parallels to like things that I've seen like in extraterrestrial stuff and whatever. So black goo, maybe the black goo's here. It's here to get rid of these troubled humans.
Right, exactly. The terrorists that be. What's up, Taylor? I see you. Cthulhu calls. Great comment. We're going to go to these calls in just a sec. Robert said this on Facebook, and this is kind of exactly where we're headed with this, maybe, right? With this sort of alien thought with this Borg DNA. He says, okay, you're walking barefoot in your backyard. This thing crawls into a tiny cut on the bottom of your foot and immediately starts sucking on and absorbing your genes until you die. Lovecraft would be so pleased. And there you go. Like, who knows? This is the type of stuff, right? You're talking about an entity that can absorb DNA and assimilate it into itself. Well, welcome to Lovecraft country. Let's go to this phone call. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? That's good stuff there. All right, let's do this. I don't know who this is. So you were on Trouble Minds with Mike and Ash. What's your first name and where are you calling from?
My first name's Jack. I'm calling from the largest port between San Francisco and Seattle.
Nice. All right. Welcome, Jack. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, you guys are talking about DNA, and you're talking about. Now, I've been a long-time listener, first-time caller here.
Nice.
You don't talk about this in particular, and most people don't. I remember when I was in junior high, and I'm 50 now, okay? So that was, okay. Anyways, I remember...
long enough ago.
Hearing about the DNA, so the organism with the most amount of DNA, okay, quantity, is just a bacteria. And this is back when I was in junior high.
Okay. And how does that relate to this?
Well, it says it's not just a little amount that we have compared to it. It's a lot of amount.
Yeah, well, so here's the weird thing about that. So DNA has been talked about for a very long time, right? It's the discovery was like you're describing, maybe late 80s, I think, maybe something like that, maybe a little bit earlier. But just recently, I saw.
No, it'd be the 60s, then it's 60s into the 70s.
You're right.
When they were
figuring
all that crap out.
You were correct. Okay, my point.
So
my point
when
is
I
this,
was just a kid, it was known that like a human, I don't know, you'd have to Wikipedia it or something, but the human DNA is just like a fraction compared to like this bacteria. Like this bacteria could contain all of what we have and more.
Right. Well, exactly. Especially if it's assimilating different DNA structures from other entities. That's the weird part. So what I was going to say there is that after, even though it's been, let's say 50 years or 60 years since they've discovered DNA, and it's just now they said they finally mapped the entire human genome. Did you see that? Like that just happened probably in the last several weeks here. But that's a long ass time, right? That is a long time. So I don't know. Is it like Ash was saying, like sort of this genetic code that's more like computer code, right? That's more flexible than we give it credit for.
Sure.
The whole
yes.
junk DNA.
Code is the word.
Go ahead.
I would agree with Ash. It's code, definitely. And if something really small like that has a whole bunch of code, how about transfermia? Not want to bring up aliens or nothing.
No, you're in the right place.
The transfermia, that's
go ahead, Ash.
That's where DNA is seeded from outside, right? Like, we live in such a big universe, big galaxy. right? Just
Right. So
aliens come
why
take a dump on the
send a
planet,
big giant boat when you can just send a little bit of information?
right? And it is weird that bacteria would have so much more information. What is that even? What is that information for? What is that? And this is the thing. DNA is very fascinating, right? And it's like I don't feel like we truly understand it, and it's so small too, and it has so much data. It's like ridiculous amounts of data. We're gonna actually go over some DNA facts soon, if Mike will let me be a nerd. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. I actually didn't know that about bacteria.
Yeah, it's you Google whatever has the most amount of DNA, I guess. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was something back then.
Yeah, and there's more too. We had a guy call last night that was HB was his name, and he was talking about the synthetic DNA and how that there's four actual letter codes we give to the DNA sequence, but he's saying there's like an additional dozen or more that they've created as sort of a synthetic DNA, which of course there's no other way to describe that other than alien, right? So I mean, these are the types of things that we're literally coming up against right now as humans and science and technology. And like, at what point do you cross this threshold where there's no coming back from, right? I mean, we're seeing how fast something can rifle around the world in infectious disease style. But what if it's like something that's really grotesque, like a science fiction movie? What if it's like Ebola or something, right? What if it's like Robert described with like the black goo seeping into your foot, like this type of stuff? Who knows, man? I don't know, right? I mean, this is the crazy stuff. So what's your take on that? What's your thought on that?
Oh, that rocks, man. Yeah, it's the scariest thing ever.
Agreed. 100%.
For sure.
100%. All right, so we got a call behind you. So while we got you on the phone, man, final thought? I appreciate. I love the first time callers, man. The more people we get together, like I always say,
yeah. One other thing on DNA, which is really creepy weird, is like the whole thing with the Russian people shining lasers through DNA to make a frog or something into a fish. Crazy stuff like that. Yes.
Yeah, and this
Check you later.
This stuff's real. Jack, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for the call tonight. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Call back. Please call back.
Sure, ciao.
Thanks, bro. Have a good night. There you go. Good stuff, man. And I think this is, again, as like I always say, the more ideas we get together, the more we probably are pointing towards the truth here. And again, you know me, I'm truth averse. I'm not trying to really get there, but I think that it's at some point it does exist. We got another call to take, but a take on that, Ash, before we go to the next call?
Yeah, I wonder who's going to be the first non-Jack to call in. It's a trend tonight. It's that saying, you don't know Jack? I only know a few Jacks, and they know some stuff. So, oh man,
our insider sources, Jack, and the other Jack. Yeah, exactly. I appreciate the calls, guys. Let's go to this is Derek in Massachusetts, our first non-Jack of the night. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you tonight?
What's going on, you guys? Great show tonight.
Thank you. What's on your mind, my man?
You just kind of stole my thunder. I was going to call in about the black goo and everything and talk about black goo. But,
no, go for it.
This is really fascinating stuff, and it kind of can go in a ton of different directions. You talked about like the hybrids and all kinds of crazy stuff, but with the black goo in particular, the idea of it like assimilating with your DNA, and like you guys mentioned the thing and stuff. But like with Venom and the Venom symbiote and like the world of symbiotes in Marvel, they attach right to your DNA. And then they carry a trait with you. Like the reason why Venom looks like Spider-Man and has like a spider on his chest and everything is because that's something that he took because it landed on Spider-Man. Like the symbiote attached with Spider-Man first, and then went off Spider-Man and attached to Eddie Brock, but kept part of like the Spider-Man essence in him. So Venom looks like another Spider-Man. So it could be some kind of thing like that that's like crawling on different entities, like one after another, and just taking part of them with them as to create this like super being or whatever, this like super entity, which is weird. But then also like in comics, like in comic books, it hasn't been adapted to any movies yet, but we might see it eventually with like the Venom Sonyverse. Is like they've created Null from the Void, like Null in the Void, who's like the symbiote god who like created all the symbiotes out of like primordial blackness, pretty much, and like the void and like dark matter and everything is like these symbiotes out in space, basically. And like in it, he reveals like there's a big event where he goes around to like every person in the Marvel universe who's ever been attached to the Venom symbiote, because it like leaves like a third strand of DNA attached to the DNA, which like there's all kinds of theories and stuff talking about like different things that they may not be putting in our bodies that could be attaching to our DNA, adding to our DNA, and that was kind of weird. And with like the Borg aspect and the hive mind, that DNA link it connects the consciousness of every entity or every person or whatever being that wore the symbiote directly with Null and like the primordial god of these symbiotes, you know. So what if it is some kind of alien thing or whatever, or there's some kind of base entity that like this goo came from, you know? So it could be like going all through space, collecting DNA from all through space or whatever. That's just one idea.
Interesting. So like Ash said, panspermia, but imagine if the thing that lands here has already been collecting DNA from all over the cosmos and then ends up here. That is Venom, isn't it?
Venom, exactly, yeah. And we talk about hybrids, and it touches right down. Like, this is a little separate from Venom, but like, what if like with their goal, or what if a potential use for this, if it is some kind of weird thing they found in the mud, and the mud thing makes me think of Venom, or black goo. Like a lot of the black goo mythology, it's steeped in like actual goos on the planet. Like a lot of the big black goo theorists, like Harold Vella and stuff, thinks that like oil and these like giant sludge piles and stuff that are weird and top secret and you can't get to them, it's because it has like a weird black goo connection, and that like the elites are very much know where these like resources are. So if they were to like say just pretend that somebody found it in their backyard, some scientists, in reality they've been having it in labs, working with it in labs for generations. But like, what if they use it as like, because it has this like assimilation quality to it, it's not the hybrid in and of itself, but they use it to attach different DNAs together. They end up using it like a glue between different organisms. Like if they can't make us a half deer like they do in Sweet Tooth or whatever that show, what if this gene or whatever it is can attach to our DNA, and then also can attach to a deer DNA, for instance, and then because it's assimilated to both, this goo or whatever can act like a bridge between the two. And then, like, from a deer that can take it to anything, to aliens, to whatever. Like, and black goo is obviously very Lovecraftian, too. It's in Lovecraft, and it's very alien in that case.
Yeah, you know what comes to mind when you mention that, too, is if you can combine organically, naturally, two entities like that, it reminds me of the inscriptions on the ancient pyramids, right? Like you got Thoth with the eagle head or whatever. Is it Ra with the eagle head? Like that type of stuff, right? Exactly. So interesting. So I wonder. So we talk about like manipulating DNA and sort of hybrids in that sense in the lab. But what if this is a natural thing and it is the panspermia, but it's collecting things to maybe merge them in sort of a clandestine type of Borg situation where it happens naturally. It just lands on planets and then mixes everything together and also has, I don't know. Mind control is locked in as well. Who knows? Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff.
I know we're running out of time, but you were talking about like the X-Files and stuff and the black goo, and they're like one of the most famous for having like the black oil and the black goo. And like I don't know if anybody watched the rebooted or like the most recent seasons, like the 10 and 11 or whatever, when they came back like 10 years later or whatever. But it's all about like hybrids and a virus specifically. It's like the Spartan virus, and they realize that like through the water supply or through the V word or whatever they do, they put this like black goo, black oil, whatever, with alien DNA into everybody's system already. Into like it's like the cure for, I don't know. It's kind of a long twisted tale, but essentially they sneak this DNA into everybody's system already and reveal that like everybody's kind of already infected with the Spartan virus, they call it, and it has to be cured using like this hybrid DNA that they use, like this hybridization DNA that's like created via that like alien black goo process. I don't know, it's this long convoluted thing, but it just, there's a weird connection between viruses and aliens and hybrids and I don't know, black goo. I don't know. There's a lot in the pot. It makes me think and this past weekend, while this story went viral with this Borg thing, there's also this actual black goo venom thing in nature that they felt like a video of this black goo like attacking some little like crab or something on the beach, and I posted it on your Facebook. And it hasn't really gone viral yet. Like the aggregators haven't picked it up, but in this next week they're gonna. So I think it's a coincidence that like a black goo venom symbiote, like nature went viral at the same time as this Borg thing is going viral at the same time as a DNA story that's happening elsewhere in the zeitgeist. You know, is it a coincidence? I don't know.
Yeah, right. Are there coincidences? Derek, amazing stuff as always. Yeah, appreciate the call. We're looking forward to hear from you in the future as always. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. We'll talk to you soon. That's the Night Stalker, Derek from Massachusetts. Have a great night, bro. Here we go. A hot take on that, Ash? That's some good stuff. Derek has always got amazing stuff. Right?
Yeah, that was a great call, man. I was like, I had to take a lot of notes just so I didn't forget everything. Yeah, it was a great call. I'm a big fan of Venom. I actually have. I just bought a bunch of comics and I have some posters and stuff. That I smuggled from Earth to Mars here. I'm a huge fan. And you mentioned the Venom actually kind of was. He simulates your DNA and all that stuff. He was kind of that was created around peak abduction, which is kind of a weird coincidence. And I'm not saying there's coincidence there, or I'm not saying there is a connection there, but around peak abduction when hybrids were really emerging. Venom was in the zeitgeist. And, we talk about the Akashic record where we seem to kind of know things, right? Know of things that, as a collective, that we shouldn't or aren't present, where like the pyramids showed up all over the planet. And you could say maybe there's a third party or a third faction, sure, and that could be the case here. Or maybe, the Venom resonates with us because it's something that we've experienced previously in the past, or the collective consciousness. So yeah, that's great. And speaking of consciousness, you mentioned the Borg and being connected, and that's kind of the case with the observations of aliens and their kind of hive mind and whatever kind of advanced civilizations, and maybe they see us as like on a bad trek where we're going to blow each other up and whatever. And we mentioned this before, where supposedly aliens have said, we think you need telepathy because there's just too much room between each other, right, for misinterpretation. And then the last thing,
we gotta go ahead. You got 5 seconds. We gotta go.
Sweet Tooth, check it out. Weird hybrids.
Check it out. More coming up after the break. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. This is Ash. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We are here tonight with your co-host, Ash, the Reptilian from Mars. And we're streaming on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're talking about this bizarre article that came out of Science Alert. Mysterious new Borg DNA seems to assimilate genes from different organisms. Is this venom? Is this panspermia? Is this the black goo? Is it a mix of all the things? Holy smokes, a lot to think about, a lot to talk about, as always. And that's what we're doing. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We have Daryl on the line, which we're going to go to in just a moment. Thanks for being patient, Daryl. But Ash, welcome back to the show. Earth to Mars. Beep, beep. Are you there? Do you copy? Copy?
What's up? I'm still here.
Welcome back. All right, so you had a quick thought before we got cut off there about Sweet Tooth. You want to pick that up, and then we'll go to the call right after that?
Yeah, I you know what? It's funny. We being a being of the night, as a reptilian, so maybe Night Stalker and I had a transmission moment, but yeah, I saw that movie pop up, and watch Sweet Tooth. It's about a virus destroys the world, okay, and it simultaneously hybrid children are born throughout the whole world, and it's a mystery where these hybrid children came from. And the plot is like the hybrid children are like
animal human chimeras, and they're like, and society is like rejecting them and trying to recover from this virus destroy. I mean, it's like, what are you trying to say to me right now? When I was watching that, it was freaking me out. And yeah, it's just too much, man. Like we Mantid crew, shout outs. We kind of suspect that there's this hybridization process, and these hybrid aliens, or maybe they're creating, children that can actually live on this planet amongst us, with us. So you have that scenario that's potentially very real, and we've got COVID going on that's supposed to be devastating, and this and that. And it's literally the plot of this damn movie that came out, and the advertising for that movie was, "Here come the hybrids." Will humanity accept them? That's the marketing for this movie. So that movie just tripped me up. It's it's just like, I try to like slip away from madness, from conspiratorial mindset, and just you know what? I'm just I'm on YouTube too much, and then like I turn around and it's like in my face, on Netflix. So man, you're not alone in seeing that stuff and being like, what the heck is this? So anyway, sweet tooth, hybrids, viruses, animal hybrids, crazy. Now we got this virus going on, which is literally a hybrid, and it's just weird. It's a weird world we live in. It's like, you're just trying to make sense of it, and 2 and 2 gets put together, but you're looking at it and you're not even sure what it means.
2 + 2 = 5, bro. That's what this is about. That's exactly what this is about. Let's go to Daryl in New York. Welcome to the show. You're on Trouble Minds with Mike and Ash. How are you, my friend?
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing very well.
I wasn't planning to call in. I wasn't going to call in tonight, but after you've been talking about something that is very close to me. Unfortunately, I was suffering for the last 12 years from a thing called Morgellons. And this sounds like Morgellons to me. I want you to just imagine, like, what is your worst fear, and then pick it, and then have it, like, live in you. That's kind of what Morgellons is like. I don't want to get into details because I think I have your respect. I don't want to lose your respect, but it really is. It's a crazy kind of condition. I'm going to call it a condition, and it's real. They've been able to reproduce it in a petri dish. They could recreate it, and they could put it in a mice and infect a mouse. And if you could give it to a mouse, then it's real. So you can't say it's delusional, but that's what people are accused of when they have Morgellons, because the symptoms are so bizarre that you must be crazy to think that you have all these symptoms, but they're so crazy. And the one thing about Morgellons is, in my opinion, they can recreate anything. They are very good mimics. I mean, I'm telling you, if I told you what they could turn into, it's kind of like the same theory of when you see a flock of birds in the sky and they look like one big mass, or like a school of fish that are really small and they all kind of move at the same time. Have you ever seen that if you're snorkeling or, just watching anything about fish that swim in schools? I think they call it something quorum something. It's some kind of quorum physics where they look like a big animal to scare away, their prey. So they can move at the same time, and they can assemble into something larger, even though they're very tiny, so that they could fight off predators. So if I told you, the kind of shapes that they could make, and I'm talking they make shapes in the shadows, like shadow shapes in New York City's buildings. I'm telling you, they could look like monkeys. They could look like your worst nightmare. They could look like giants. It's whatever you can imagine is going to all right, that's this part that sounds crazy, so I'm not going to go there. But what I want to say is the black goo. Harold Vellikatz kind of put them all together. He was studying Morgellons and black goo, and he kind of somehow put this all together, including the spiritual and paranormal, in such a seamless way. You've got to watch his videos. So he's so smart. But he was convinced that everybody in Europe had it. And the people that are expelling it were probably the lucky ones. That's a theory that if you felt them, that meant you were expelling them. And then those were probably the healthiest people, except they were the most scrutinized because they had the weirdest symptoms and nobody believed them. Anyway, so the black goo is some kind of connection with these Morgellons fibers. What they do is they are so small They can attach to anything. They're the size of your hair, like a grain of sand, or the length of your hair. But they're so strong and durable. If you have them in your hair, you would know it, because they attach to your hair. They wrap around your hair, and with a microscope, I can show you what they look like in your hair or in my bed. Even I have these crazy videos where they're like swimming like sperm on my bed. I used an infrared camera, and it picked them up really well, and it looks insane, but you could see how crazy they are. It would make you insane to have this in your environment, let alone on your body, So somehow he felt that black goo is connected to the Morgellons fibers, and that there's like a good black goo and a bad black goo, or one of them is like the good earth, and it's the earth's consciousness. That's how he equated it, And he showed you the black goo in these two cans. You have to see this. It looks like they're asleep. And as soon as they're aware of each other, they want to just get together and be one, whole black goo, because they're they like Jell-O. This is sounding crazy, right?
No, not at all. So wait, can you repeat the name? Repeat the name of this individual again for us. Who is the one who did the study on this? Harold Katz Vela. It's his last name is spelled Kautz, and his first name is spelled Harold, like Harald. And he shows like what remote viewers picture the Morgellons look like in your stomach, and it looked like some kind of human spider. Just insane stuff. It's as insane as it gets. But these things, I felt, can morph into just about any shape, any size that you could imagine. And they're also very durable and very strong. Like, if you live with them in your environment, and they can get into your food supplies, like you can tell that they're in like a can of soda, because the can of soda will swell up and get very heavy. Like, they weigh more than anything that they're inhabiting. They have a lot of weight and density. So you definitely feel them. When you feel them on you, you feel them because they're heavy. They're heavier than your hair is. So you'll definitely feel them in your hair. And most people that have Morgellons, like Britney Spears shaved her head, I think that's a sign that you have Morgellons. If you just have this urge to shave your head suddenly, you probably have Morgellons. I'm too vain to do that, so I never did. But I definitely understood why people would want to. There was times when I just wanted to. You felt they were so intelligent. There was some kind of intelligence to these things that it was frightening. Like, I knew that they could use something that was like small, like a staple, and puncture me with it. And sometimes you'd wind up with cuts on your body that you can't explain. They would cut you where it hurts, You would wind up with these mysterious cuts, and trust me, you're not cutting yourself. I'm not, at least, So there's a lot of evidence for this stuff. It's a very dangerous, crazy thing to live with, and I don't know why I got over it. I'm not going to ask any questions, but somehow I never thought I'd ever get used to them. I don't know if I'm used to them, because it's just a feeling of something foreign in you, and it's something that feels so wrong, And why they pick women, they pick postmenopausal women. We thought they were a bioweapon at one point. I thought they were aliens at one point. There's still no explanation, because a lot of those fibers were not found in any of the FBI files. They try to submit these fibers. They call it the fiber disease. And they couldn't find one fiber out of 14,000 fibers that they have known to the FBI files. They were not found in any file. So, it can't be coming off of our clothing, because we don't have clothing made out of these fibers. And they move. They're movable fibers. Gotcha.
But boy, when they get together, they could really morph into something. And this sounds like what you're finding in that guy's mud.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Hey, Daryl. So Ash has just sent me a message. Said we need to do a show on Morgellons at some point. Can we have you on? Can we have you back and talk about that with us when we do?
Absolutely. I would love to.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I would love to. That would be great.
We got to go. We got a call behind you and some stuff to get to. As weird as it gets, right on. Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate that. That's Daryl from New York. Good stuff as always. And is there a relation here? We haven't done a deep dive into Morgellons or had a discussion with that, but we're going to. It's one of those things we need to get to. So it is on deck. Daryl has asked before, so we're going to do it. We're going to get there and we're going to talk about this. What's your take on that? We got Beechwood on the phone, but what do you think, Ash? What do you think about that call there, the Morgellons and the rest of this?
There's a lot of things that people kind of suffer with that go undiagnosed properly for a long time, right? People write them off. Science has a real big blind spot for things. And so, when COVID came out, since they were misdiagnosing people all over the place, if you don't know, some of the tests were faulty and had a lot of false positives. So everyone thought they had COVID. Do you remember this phase? I talked to everyone and they'd be, oh, COVID does this, COVID does that, COVID does this. And so, there are blind spots in science and it takes time to figure things out. And so, if we're just in the backyard scooping mud and finding the thing in the backyard all of a sudden, right? Like who knows with these things? I'm looking at pictures of this stuff. And it's really, really freaking weird. I don't know what I'm looking at, but it looks like these stringy particles. It could literally be like your body's stress. Let's say you're stressed in real life causes your body to produce these things, and that they're actually like hair follicles with some sort of living DNA in it or whatever. So we don't know. We'll definitely really interesting. I'm literally looking at pictures of this stuff and I don't know what I'm looking at. There's definitely something there, and I can see it. There's like it almost looks like hair fibers into the skin. Yeah, it looks like it's itchy. There's that a movie called Split. If you haven't seen, I think it's Split, right? Split.
I don't know.
Splitter.
Haven't seen it. Yeah, so this is, again, like Night Stalker saying, there's the spider connection again, sort of the spider web, the venom, back to the black goo, right? It's weird the synchronicities here. That, like Ash is saying, look, you go look at more pictures of Morgellons, and there seems to be these spider web-like threads that people are feeling in their body. Like I said, I don't know a lot about it. We'll do some research into this and do a whole show on it, but it is terrifying, right? Like that type of stuff that it's makes you want to tear your skin off type thing. It's like, I don't know. And it's as far as I'm aware, science has not really quantified a reason or an explanation yet, and even dismissing it as, well, it's in your imagination, right? Things like this. So you got the movie there, Ash?
Yeah, it's called Splinter. And in Splinter, there's this like virus or bacteria. I think it's a bacteria. And when it enters your body, it multiplies. It grows off of you. But as it spreads through you, it takes over that flesh. And so there's parts where someone's arm is removed, and the arm's moving around itself, and it's looking for more flesh, and it's like pretty creepy. But it's perfectly in line with what we're talking tonight. If this has set you in the mood, Venom, hybrids, aliens, infections, Morgellons, watch that movie. What did I say was Splinter?
Yep.
Splinter. Yeah, check that out. It's pretty freaky. It goes right in line with what we're talking about.
Amen to that. Let's go to Beechwood in Massachusetts. Welcome back to the show, Beechwood. How are you tonight?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing awesome.
Right on.
I've been, listening from the shadows. Been going through the astral plane, taking notes, watching stuff. The past couple months since the UFO disclosure, we missed something. There's something hiding in plain sight that we missed. My Beechwood sense is never wrong, and it's telling me that we missed something. Like when a magician does a trick in front of you and he tells you, I'm going to do this, and he does it, and you don't see it, and the trick, and you're like, wow, that was magic. But it's just the sleight of hand is so good that you can't even see it. And I feel that's kind of what happened. With the topic tonight, I think it's all sponsored content. I think it's all sponsored content just to point people in the direction of entertaining a new idea like that. Like when people's minds are rusted shut, I feel like they use aliens like WD-40 to loosen it up. Entertain an idea that's out of this world. And I think it's going to be the push for the Neuralink. I think the Neuralink is going to be the next big thing. And it's just like ultimate control. You know what everybody's doing, what everybody wants, how much, resource everybody uses. And I think they're going to make the switch to digital currency and Neuralink. And that's going to be the start to the New World Order. And I saw something yesterday. It was about wasn't a Neuralink. It's a chip that links to your phone, and they put it under a acrylic fingernail, and you can access your phone. It was all for like taking pictures. The way they advertised it, like, oh, you're here, you can't get your phone, you can do this, and they made it seem cool. They made it seem like you're in control, but I think that's where they're going for. And I think about who runs the world. There's supposedly, like, how many people are on the planet? We'll call it like 7 billion for the sake of math. They say 1% runs the world. That's still 70 million people. That's a lot of people. I think it's way less than that.
Yeah, it's probably
there's
probably
1,000 people that run the world.
Yeah, like 1,000, like in the low thousands for sure. And we could probably come up with a list of names if we tried really hard, right?
Yeah, they all go back to the same names, but like they have people convinced that money is real. Like it costs 2.5 cents to make a penny. It costs 2.5 cents to make a penny. $100 in pennies weighs like 50 pounds.
Wait.
You take that to the bank.
Let's complete the mind screw. How much does it cost to print $1?
Oh, I don't even know.
Nothing.
I couldn't tell you.
Nothing, because it's all fake anyway. It's nothing. Yeah.
So at one point it comes down to like resources, but no, that was. I mean, I got a lot rambling on. I've been listening. You had a lot of great shows the past couple of weeks. I've been. It's summertime. I'm a painter. We're really, really busy right now, but I've been trying to like kind of block everything out and just let it come to me. What's going on? And I feel something's telling me that we missed something. Like there's something simple in plain sight. And there's an old saying, like if you want to hide something, put it on public display.
Amen to that.
And I feel like that might be what's going on.
All right, but, I'm going to.
I don't know.
I'm going to tune in with the Beechwood Sixth Sense, and I'm going to say maybe. So we're gonna keep watching and paying attention. Hopefully, we can get to the bottom of whatever we missed. Okay. I appreciate the call, my friend. Anything else? What I got you on tonight?
Yeah, they're going to fake a gas shortage.
Okay, all right.
They're going to fake a gas shortage in the future, and I think that's going to be a little bit of a catalyst. But I think they got like a 10-year plan, and it started a couple of years ago. We might have missed a couple of key points, but I don't know. I think they're just going for the one world government, possibly breakaway civilization. And I'm going to be the one to say it. I think Bezos, I think Zuckerberg, and there's a few other mainstream ones. I think they're frontmen. Bill Gates, I think he's a puppet. I don't think he calls the shots. I think there's somebody standing behind the curtain that says, you do what we say, or we'll kill you and make you live through it. Like we'll destroy you and make you suffer.
Epstein you. Suicided.
Yeah.
Put you on the Hillary list. Yeah.
But, yeah, that's it. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Listening.
Thanks for listening. Go kill it out there. We'll talk to you soon. That's Beechwood from Massachusetts. Good call as always. Ash, hot take there. I'm sure you got some hot takes as always. Coming from Mars, all hot takes, right?
Yeah, great points. Good calls. Good calls all around tonight. From the Jacks and others. Yeah, I agree. A lot of times the mainstream media is covering this or covering that, but a lot of the most important things coming out, you just gloss right by, and that's one of the reasons I used to listen to the show. I was a fan first before I used to come on here, because Mike would talk about the things that were interesting that I wanted to hear. I didn't want to hear about Trump and this and that. I didn't want to hear about that crap anymore. I wanted to see what was going on, and we live in a fantastical world of mystery and craziness, and if you're here and you're listening right now, you know what I'm talking about, and we're talking about these things, and the things that we tend to miss are right in front of our faces. Like CRISPR. CRISPR was an amazing technology, and no one really even cared, or UFOs came out, and I bet you guys are aware of it, but most people didn't even care. So yeah, maybe there is something we missed. I don't know, Mike. Maybe we missed something. But that's a good point.
There's too many things. We miss all kinds of things just because it's impossible to keep up. But we do our best here. We definitely do our best. Hardest working show in the business, that's for sure. By the way, Ash has a YouTube channel. Speaking of hardest working, right? You put the extension of just us two together. We're putting out content all the damn time. Want to tell us about your YouTube channel before we wind this down? We're got a minute left.
Awesome. A minute. Perfect. Well, hey guys, thanks for listening. We talked about venom and symbiotes and crazy DNA stuff, and if you're interested in this kind of stuff and aliens and all those kind of takes, check out my channel. I'm Ash, the Reptilian from Mars. Just search that in, and I'm sure there's links in Discord. And I do live streams every once in a while, and I produce more content. And the more you guys bug me, the more I'll make. So that's kind of it. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Good stuff. All right, so as we finish this, you guys know the drill. We do Troubled Minds Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. We do a news show Monday and Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, and there's also other content coming out. I got some other stuff I'm working on, as always, right? There's work going on behind the scenes and things coming out, so stay tuned. We do have a Patreon show coming up, probably not this week because we have a show on Saturday for the Fringe-a-thon, the Fringe Off, the 24-hour Fringe stream. So we'll have a show on Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific like we always do, so adding in an extra show this week, so we won't do a Patreon show, but probably next weekend is what we're looking at. So again, like I said, stay tuned, keep your ears to the ground. We're doing it. We're trying our best to parse all the information and all the data and keep you in the loop of what we find out. That's what this is all about. And thank you guys for listening. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, and we're done. So the good news is, well, let's start with the bad news. The bad news is we're done tonight, all right? Well, but the good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. So if you're listening on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, Periscope, or the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. Don't go anywhere. At the end of this, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it so much. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you, Ash, for joining us tonight and this spreading your alien holiday cheer. Appreciate that a lot. And let's do our thing. We'll do more of this and continue talking and thinking about crazy stuff. Thanks again. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. What's up, guys? We are off the Fringe, hanging out, chilling, doing our thing. We got a third hour coming up, commercial free, and we'll be talking about all this stuff, and we're still taking your phone calls. What the hell do you think about this, right? Ash has got some DNA stuff he's going to read, and we're going to talk about this and continue. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Join the Discord if you have not. If you haven't joined the Discord, you're missing out. Lots of smart people in there sharing great links all the time. That's the deal. I got a couple bites I'm going to take out of this burrito that's delicious. It's chilling on a plate behind me. 2-minute break. 2 minutes. More Troubled Minds coming up. We're still taking your phone calls. 1 more hour on the way. Don't go anywhere. More black goo, venom, aliens, DNA. What the hell's going on with this? Mysterious new Borg DNA seems to assimilate genes from different organisms. WTF. Yep, more on the way. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here with your co-host, Ash the Reptilian from Mars, and we're still talking about this weird stuff, right? What is this stuff? Yeah, you guessed it. You guessed it. Green goo, black goo, whatever this is, right? Mysterious new Borg DNA seems to assimilate genes from different organisms. And as we said tonight, right? Does this sound like the X-Files black goo? Is this a transpermia thing where we have this, whatever this Borg DNA maybe being dropped around the cosmos by meteors or whatever it happens to be? How, and then, so that's the beginning of this. That's the weird questions with venom and assimilating DNA. And a great comment from Robert here on Facebook, which I'm going to read again to kind of reframe this. Robert says this, okay, you're walking barefoot in your backyard. This thing crawls into a tiny cut on the bottom of your foot and immediately starts sucking on and absorbing your genes until you die. Lovecraft would be so pleased. He tacked on a little bit later, and as you're dying in sync with the loss of your DNA, the organism grows into a grotesque clone of you. And there you go. That's kind of what we're looking at here. Strange, bizarre, right? This is the oddness of, right, when you talk about, well, truth is stranger than fiction. Well, here it is. And then there's the whole idea that we have this scientist, right, that clearly is, well, into science, as scientists would be. Again, like Ash has said in the past here, that, well, scientists spend a ton of time, hundreds of years, scooping dirt and looking in microscopes, right? So what the hell's happening with this? We have this, by some synchronicity, let's read this again. The first of the Borgs was discovered in mud, dredged up from Banfield's backyard. Yeah, that's right. That's a scientist right here, Banfield. According to geomicrobiologist Jill Banfield from the University of California, Borgs could make for a tremendously significant discovery. And so whatever, an actual, like, at the University of California, Berkeley, a geomicrobiologist goes in her backyard, scoops some dirt, and discovers this. Well, does that sound suspicious at all to you? Well, there's that as well, isn't there? There's lots of layers of this and lots of, again, panspermia as a sort of a Borg type of organism, kind of like Star Trek, as you would expect. Or what's going on with this? Again, right? Just this alone really opens up the mind to WTF possibilities. And by the way, we're now off the air, so now you can drop some F-bombs if you prefer that. We're not really into the business.
Well, ain't that some shit?
Well, ain't that some shit? Welcome back, man. How are you? What is going on, Ash the Reptilian? How is Mars?
Hey, man, I'm just sitting here enjoying the show.
Nice.
I managed to bite a little bit off of Matt Damon as he was going by.
Nice.
You know,
how's he taste?
Just so many fucking potatoes, man. Just that's all that dude does. He just grows potatoes, and so I managed to take a bite. Doesn't taste so good, but you know, better than what I usually eat. So.
All right.
But you know, it's funny. You the way you're saying it now, it seems even more ridiculous. It was in this person's backyard,
right?
It's so insane.
It's insane. Like this is a synchronicity, right? Like again, it seems bizarre that this is the way the world works, right? I don't know. Is that suspicious in and of itself? Maybe, right? I think it's worthy of conversation. But again, how come, right? If it's so common, literally, you don't have to go further than several steps from your damn house. It's in your house, right? It's in your damn property. Why hasn't this been discovered before? It's just, again, just so many weird things with this. And what is it? And again, so I know you have some information. I won't press you immediately because I know you're still chomping on the Matt Damon's foot there or whatever. But you did say you have some DNA information, which we'll get to in just a sec. But so we're taking your phone calls tonight, guys. What do you think about all the rest of this stuff? Is it, again, as we've described, some sort of weird synchronicity? Is it, luck, as luck would have it, this geomicrobiologist walks out the backyard, scoops some mud, and bam, this brand new discovery? Does that seem legit to you? That seems very Wuhan to me, if you know what I'm saying. So I don't know. We're looking to hear from you tonight, 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org, and we'll put you on the show. Easy as that. We got Kelly jumping in here. How you feeling, Ash? You want to anything else you want to add, or we're going to go to Kelly here?
No, let's go to Kelly.
Let's do it.
Hi, Kelly. I always got stuff to add, but you know what? I'd rather hear Kelly.
Yeah.
What's going on there, fellas?
Swallow the Matt Damon foot. What's up, Kelly? Welcome to the show. How are you?
All right, man.
Yeah. Weird shit, right? This is a weird time we live in, man. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Yeah, you know. Just the sound of that, I kind of ran across that same story, but just the sound of that kind of reminded me of the black goo, or even what I believe it was Jennifer. She was talking about the Morgellons disease. Well, they should be called fibers anyway.
Daryl, yeah.
Yeah, those. It's pretty interesting, but that black goo, I just wanted to add. I don't know if anybody else seen this, but I seen a They've been, I've seen a few videos, on YouTube about talking about that stuff, but there was a claim that on one of them that I guess on the Bush, President Bush, the ex-presidents, I guess on their property they had in Texas, they had a big pool of this shit. That was a theory anyway I ran across. I didn't know if anything about that, but I know there's no real claim to that, but yeah, there was something about that. And what's interesting, excuse me, is about this black goo. What I think it could be, if it's still in DNA or borrowing DNA, maybe it is from from off planet. It could be a collector, a collector of DNA, kind of like the bone collector or whatever. But yeah, you can collect DNA from everything like that, because it seems to surround it. It almost reminds me of how, I don't know if you've seen a video where they take a magnet, but it's like this goo, and they added like metal shards of it, and it just wraps around it. It's pretty interesting.
Ferrofluid.
Yeah.
I think ferrofluid's dope. Yeah, ferrofluid.
Yeah.
It's got like magnetic shards in it, so as you move a magnet near it, it moves the goo around. Yeah, it's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, that's what I imagine of something like that. But yeah, maybe it's just a collector of DNA. It collects DNA from different planets, and then they come pick it up. I don't know. Could be something like that, or the Morgellons disease. I believe is that there's a lot of people saying that shit's being sprayed on us. Part of the geoengineering that they're doing on the planet. But because I have a good friend that I follow on Facebook, he's been into that stuff. He's collecting some of the river water where he lives at, which is back east from where I'm at. And he actually sent it in, and he's got certificates or from different science labs, and then he sent it into I think his state senator or congressman. And yeah, they took a look at it, because he's he even posted it on Facebook. Some of that shit, man, because it gets in your skin. The fibers he was finding too is that they can be blue or red fibers. But yeah, they're like alive inside you too. They say you could feel it moving around inside you.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know enough about Morgellons in particular, so Daryl has been trying to educate me in small chunks here. But we'll get to it. We'll get to that show. Like Ash said, he's willing to do it. He said we got to do a show on that, because it's like an alien disease, right? And it's very similar to maybe what we're talking about. If it we've got some good theories here with this particular DNA collector, like you said. Is this what actual panspermia is like? It's been theorized that panspermia is these comets fly around the cosmos and they're dropping these particles on different planets, and that's seeding life everywhere, right? But what if there's a particular thing like this that's not only doing that in its most basic form, it's also collecting DNA from all over the damn place and then dropping complex multi-being like DNA, and that's how evolution actually happens, through something like that, instead of like the long term, and it would explain a lot of the inconsistencies with Darwin's theories, right? There's some holes in those theories, so maybe it's something like this happening instead, right? Lots here. It's weird, man. Weird. When I first saw this article, I was like, oh crap. how are we going to handle this? Yeah, weird,
yeah.
Right?
Who actually portrays a lot of that shit is Hollywood as well. Because the last one, I was just talking with Michelle too about it. It was the last one I kind of remember that it was kind of like a black goo, and they just used a drop of it. It was on the show Prometheus. It's kind of like the Aliens, prequel or something like that. You ever seen that show?
I have not. No.
Yeah, Prometheus. Anyway, they have the robot. They have another android that's on the show that's but he's trying to poison or get that into somebody else's body. The whole point of it, but all he needed was just like a little drop, and it looked like that black goo. He just needed one drop in it, and he made a drink for this guy, like they were playing pool or something, and as soon as it got into him, it just like, you could tell it was changing him. And, all it is DNA, too. Just like I've always talked about before, is you want to know all the secrets, too. It's all going to be in the DNA. So-called junk DNA, they don't even know what the hell it is. And then, it's just kind of ignorant of them just even calling it junk DNA.
I agree 100%. We've talked about that before. It's like, oh, well, we don't understand it, so it must be garbage. Thanks, science. You're the best. Come on now. That's ridiculous.
It's like most of it, too. It's like most of the data is the junk DNA.
Yeah. It's a huge percent, yeah.
There's
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I just wanted to kind of throw a couple things in there with that, but yeah, I kind of run into someone like that, but yeah, it's kind of strange that they're bringing this stuff up. You know what I mean? And it could be like they said, like just like you said too earlier about asteroids, seeding life and stuff like that. I mean, I could kind of see that happening, but to have that would be something pretty incredible. I know they claim to have some petrified stuff on asteroids, but you know what I mean? I don't know how it could survive, dead of space and then, the re-entry into a planet. That's pretty. Oh, and speaking of asteroids, one thing that was interesting to me is, not to get off subject real quick, but asteroids, they claim to have, asteroid, where, they contacted the ground, whatever. But then you see where they have big ass asteroids where they're just like, they find them laying on the ground. Like there was no impact. There's nothing. And these things are huge. That's another, I've always pondered some of that question as well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ash. I'm playing your Billie Eilish, by the way. I'll just have it on loop. But yeah, so I think you're right. Go ahead, man.
Oh yeah. It's like, who's dropping these things off? Because if they were coming in through the atmosphere, they would burn up or make a severe impact.
Yeah.
So it's not even possible unless they were like catching enough friction that they floated down, but they're just rocks. It doesn't make any sense at all, and how that's possible, And
well, we have like so not here's a couple things that are weird, right? It doesn't make sense like in the terrestrial realm of things, but there's like they found actual living organisms outside the International Space Station, right? The tardigrades have been proven to exist and live in these vacuums and these high radiation areas, which would be space, right? And then they're able to lie dormant for hundreds of years. So who knows? How long could that be? Thousands, millions? Who knows? So if you have some sort of a actual entity that can do this and just lay dormant until they get dropped on another planet, I mean, it stands to reason that this stuff is real. It's not just science fiction. There's some actual science out there that backs up this type of hypothesis. So I don't think it's that far out of the realm of possibility here at all.
Oh no, I'm not saying that it wasn't. I just, to me, it just kind of, that would be a very strong, you know what I mean? If something like that is happening, unless they're saying that it landed in a big chunk and it cracked in half and somehow it got out. You know what I mean? Because on the outer surface, there's no way in hell that could, that could probably survive. But yes, I do agree. That is possible. There is, science. They say scientific proof of that, but I'm not denying that proof. But I'm talking like something like this goo shit. You know what I mean? Is it man-made or is it alien?
Right. And the question, we're trying to solve is why now, right? Like, did it come from somewhere else, or, like, why are we just finding this stuff now? Is weird question. And maybe we just don't, we're not bioengineers. Maybe we just don't quite understand it. But, where's this crap been all this time? And if it was assimilating genes, and that's something that you would see, I think any scientist would notice that once they looked at it under the microscope. That'd be weird, unless it's just something that they missed altogether. I don't know. Yeah, pretty freaking weird though.
I don't know with this story either, too, because it's kind of suspicious. Because I mean, is it like this scientist just went out into her backyard and scooped up some alien dirt, and that's kind of like what do you have it next to the COVID-19 shit or what? That's kind of
exactly. In the,
you know what I mean?
The bio lab in the backyard. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just stood up and it just happened to be next to the pile of my dog shit. You know what I mean? I just kind of scooped it up.
Which makes no
I don't
sense.
know.
It makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. It's like, okay, just like Ash said, like it's one of the most relevant points that was made tonight. Like, okay, really, you're a whatever kind of scientist this was, which is geo means Earth, right? And so they're out there like literally looking at things for hundreds of years under microscopes, including especially probably one of the first things that was ever scooped up to be looked at was dirt, aside from like dead insects and stuff. And now we're finding this magically in this backyard. It makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. If you're into conspiracy as well, there you go. Welcome to the show. I mean, WTF, right? It's crazy.
I know.
Unless the technology behind it has become okay. So I know with CRISPR, I was studying it, that basically like there was this process that used to take months, and CRISPR was able to cut a specific process. It was able to do a lot of things, but this one process down to like a few days, which allows progress like much faster. So I'm wondering maybe with the advancement of technology, maybe the more casual person could run it. But even still, you're still scooping dirt, like sometimes, and it's not in any of that dirt ever. Is this how often does this thing occur? Is this everywhere? Is it just in this dude's backyard? Like what the hell? Like I don't know, right? Like where the hell is it?
Okay, so it's like either you know what I mean. So it's a like you're saying, he's in earth science, right? He's in earth and shit. So either he pulled it out of the lab and, they had to say that he found it in the backyard, or I don't know what's up with this whole thing. Sounds like it within, social media and everything else out there. And it's like, kind of like the couple things we've been talking about in the last couple shows is the simulation, man. It seems like they just want everybody simulated, man. I think it's just, it's control. I think, with all this 5G shit too, you know what I mean, I don't understand why you need a tower every 10 houses. That shit is not for internet speed, in my eyes, in my opinion.
No.
That's just...
It's the Internet of Things, and it's created for machines. It's not created for us anymore. Like, we can watch... Like, there's no download time on movies. You can buffer movies, like, watch movies without buffering now. So at some point... Like selling at faster speed is futile because what can you do? You know what I mean? Like what else can we do? We can brainwash each other faster, right? Like no, we can already send communications at like lightning speed. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. So to point this out from the article, the individual involved is actually a she. It's Jill Banfield, and she's a geomicrobiologist from the University of California, Berkeley. Geo means Earth. So she's literally like a microbiologist of the Earth. And you're telling me she hasn't scooped her backyard dirt before, or any dirt randomly throughout? I mean, like again, right? It doesn't make any damn sense. This is just black goo, venom. Here we are. I don't know, man.
I mean, if they were going to do a cover story, wouldn't they do a better one that they just found it in like a wet market? Yeah. Instead of her backyard. That's weird. It's
maybe she's just collecting all the shit they've been spraying on us for over the last few decades.
That's a good point.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't even know how chemtrails is considered a conspiracy. It's like clearly they're spraying something sometimes.
Oh, they came out and said it themselves. The government. I posted the video on it. The guy keeps, he's having a conversation. It's called geoengineering. It's people call it chemtrails, but it's just they've been doing that shit and seeding the even our presidents were talking about those who claim. He said, who was that? I can't remember the president after Kennedy. He was at a university and he was talking about controlling the weather. And out of his own mouth, he says, the one who can control the weather controls the world.
Damn.
He had a whole big speech about it because, he was like the graduating class and he was the speaker. He came there. can't remember the president's name. What is it? I didn't like his ass anyway, but
like many of the presidents. I'm looking it up. I'll find him. Hold on. But yeah, many of the presidents, right? They're a bunch of assholes. Go ahead. Carry on.
Well, so no, Saudi Arabia just shot drones into their because they have like a heat waves of like 120 degrees. They just like freaking fired missiles like using drones into their atmosphere and created rain, like straight up. Saudi Arabia is filthy, covered in money. So go ahead.
Wasn't that Dubai? I thought that was Dubai.
Oh, was it Dubai? Well, I don't know. Oil Middle Eastern country.
Oil money. Lyndon B. Johnson, is that the guy? Or was it Nixon?
Yeah, B. Johnson. Yeah, he's got a speech.
Fuck that guy.
And he's talking about, he's literally talking about controlling the weather. I mean, he goes off for quite a bit too, and then literally comes out and says that those who can control the weather will control the world. But by doing so, I think these guys are geoengineering shit. You start messing around with Mother Earth, Mother Nature too much, man, it's gonna start fucking fighting back.
Yeah, I think, and that's part of the problem, right? Like we always say, life finds a way. The Gaia hypothesis. There's a lot more at work here than just what we think is like sentient life. And I think the Earth has defense mechanisms. It knows when to sort of shut down and restart. Right? It's done it a ton of times over the course of Earth's history, and I don't think it's an accident. Right? I think that these geological cycles, whatever they happen to be, are maybe planned. Right? Like maybe pre-planned as ways to stop us from destroying the Earth. Right? It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if things we do eventually trigger kind of a backlash from not to say that Earth is like a living entity, but I think that it's probably knows enough to when to cast us off like a bad case of fleas, right? Which I stole from Clyde Lewis, but yeah, right.
Well, Mother Nature seeks balance. It literally tries to find the least common denominator, and that's like the pinnacle. That's evolution, right? It's just whatever is the most effective thing. That's why you see like certain patterns in like math and other things in nature. You'll see them in like daisies and formations of other things. I was just looking at some lily pads today, and I was wondering how did this happen, right? Lily pads with the floating on the surface and different things like that. And that's what it seeks. It seeks the least common denominator. And so when there's too much of something, usually a predator emerges to consume it. So there's a little bit too much of something on this planet, and as a reptilian from Mars, I second Mother Nature's instinct.
Oh boy! I had to do it.
Dude. I know, right? Come to my door. I got something for you.
Exactly. Selling candy to the kids. Hey, so Kelly, what do you think then? So if you had the theory here, what do you think this is? Do you think it is some sort of alien thing that maybe got dropped here, or do you think it's like the lab leak hypothesis, being that it's a coincidence found in this geobiologist's backyard? Geomicrobiologist, sorry.
Well, if the story's true, then that would probably have to be I would say it's a leak. Maybe even something that got out or, that was taken out. But what's interesting is, that they're saying that it's more like assimilation, like I was talking. It's just something that's collecting DNA. It's kind of strange. And not just, and it's not just saying, be all scary and stuff, but not just human, but it's, collecting DNA from everything it touches. That's a lot of, if that's the case, then, that's a lot of storage. So I don't know how much it can. Is it changing it? Is it grabbing onto something else and adding that DNA to another creature and it's going on, so forth and so on? But I don't know. That's just it's a strange story to come out, especially at this time. Like you guys were, talking, like we were talking yesterday, was about the, what is it, the humanism, whatever. But to me, it's like the Borg to assimilate everybody, or dumb them down. It's a control thing. Yeah. Now, I don't want to go into conspiracies or, weird shit like that yet. But yeah, to me, I'm sitting back and watching and see what's all going to happen when they start firing some of this other thing up. See how people do it. That's what I'm more and more worried about. But yeah, it seems to me they want more control of the human body. So
Yeah, funnily enough, so last night's show and tonight's show are related. It's just one is like man-made. Remember, we were talking about injecting this swarm of like biomechanisms into people that can interface with the brain. But now we're talking about like an organic version of that will assimilate DNA into its own structure, very much like Venom or things like this from the Marvel world. Or, I mean, it's weird, right? It's weird the synchronicity of some of these things, how the information comes out and it's like, okay, by the way, this has been going on, like I've described previously with DARPA, probably way ahead of this game. But then what is this now? This is a biological version of something similar. And if there's any kind of like brain control involved, it's literally the same thing. It's just a different like mechanism of contact, right? Whether it's an injection from a man-made thing or whether it's dug out of somebody's backyard in a scoop of mud. It's terrifying all the same, right?
yeah, what's interesting, it just hit me too. I just remembered that me and my son are in a lot of science, and he sent me this link one time. It was a few years ago, but it was about it was a military website, and then they were just talking about some of the materials, what we can make jets out of, and they have this material that was kind of like fiberglass, most like how, or some kind of fibers, that they use to make these the wings, the body aircraft, right? But what's interesting is it was like nanotechnology too. So like if it was being penetrated by bullets, it wouldn't have holes in it. It would just it would mold itself back together. You know what I mean? It would seal itself. It would heal itself while it was in mid-flight. So it was like it was nanotechnology, and it would seal it up so much, even if like you hit the fuel tanks, even seal that up too as well. So the whole body more or less was made out of this fiber. It was man-made, of course, but yeah, they had this technology. It was nanotechnology where it could seal itself back up.
Which is clearly, like I said, it's being worked on. This is this stuff is not new. Like, it's new to us because we're talking about it. It's hitting news cycles. We're talking about it, but I'm telling you, like, this type of control mechanism has been discussed, right? It's all been discussed, of course. It's all been maybe kind of pumped through some of these black budget projects and things like this. Clearly we can't say, look, here's the smoking gun proof, but I mean, just think about it, right? Like, I mean, the government was trying remote viewing in the 60s, for crying out loud. If they're going to do that, then they're going to literally go down every avenue possible to try and find this crazy stuff. So yeah, 100%. Anything there, Ash?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's tough because, like, at the end of the day, this is like such a crazy story. That it's there's not a lot of information. You know what I'm saying? It's like this thing's collecting DNA. There are a lot of details that need to be known. Like, how prevalent is it? To what degree? How does this manifest? What does that even mean, right? And so, just this light article, just kind of glossing over it. It just, I don't know. It just seems as if the ramifications of something like this are deserve more expedition, right? And more coverage. So I'm hoping that as things progress, maybe we'll find out more. I think it's going to be one of two things. It pops up and it goes away forever, and don't freaking hear about it for another 10 years, or it's something, a precursor to some sort of new tech or new progress. And it may take 3 different pivots from that point, but I suspect it's going somewhere. I mean, assimilating DNA. Someone mentioned before as being a bridge between species. You know how a lot of people argue against evolution. They're always looking for that halfway point. What do they call that? What's the word for it? They'll say the missing link. The missing link. Yeah. Like the missing link between humans and apes is like that exact middle point. And it's interesting. Can this accelerate that process? Or maybe this is that process. Maybe this is something that gets assimilated into other creatures and allows them to have this ability. We ourselves are just a collection of like little dudes, right? Like cells, and those cells are collected into different things, which are organs, right? That we're just like a hive of creatures ourselves. So, what is this something that already exists inside of us to some degree or whatnot? I don't know. Well, maybe we should have we should get like a real biologically educated. See, I'm so stupid. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, like someone who knows about this stuff.
Somebody who's not stupid. Well, I think anything, the unfortunate part is, right, you have to have, so if you go into academia, right, and you're like, okay, can you give us your take on this? It's basically going to be like a gatekeeper that's like smacks everything down and is like, you guys are stupid, you don't understand how this works. Right. Or it's going to be somebody with an open mind that would discuss possibilities with you. And I think that's part of the problem with kind of reaching into academic life, is that you get the people with open minds and you get the people that have been indoctrinated and just say that, look, if it's not in the book, it doesn't exist, right? And that's the issue. That's part of the problem why just kind of generally reaching out is you're going to get kicked in the nuts most times, right? Unfortunately, I think. But there are people out there that are brave enough to say, yeah, like this could be bad. Like, this could be bad stuff. This could be good stuff. Again, like always, right? Like, you got to take the we don't know stuff as neutral, in that, who knows, maybe it's a breakthrough and changes everything for the positive, right? Maybe this will allow us to grow organs by for instance, just for an example, right, let's say we take a piece of this organism and we can now transplant an organ that is not a direct donor match, because it's able to kind of fuse the DNA from one person to another. You see what I'm saying? So, like, point being is that, like, there could be some positives here, and it's okay. Like, that's not a troubled minds thing to talk about. So, you know what I mean? But I just want you to realize we're not just shitting on everything and saying doom is here. It's not that, right? This could be an amazing discovery. It's just that where that leads us from now till then is part of the discussion here. So just to throw that out there, right? It doesn't always have to be doom and gloom, right?
Yeah. It could probably even maybe it would update our DNA. Who knows?
Yeah, like, help us out. It could be a fix somehow. Yeah, for maybe genetic disorders and things like this. It's hard to say. That's what they're saying about CRISPR now. And so this microgeobiologist is saying that they have some reason to believe that this is as an exciting discovery as CRISPR. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wondered that about the jab, right? Like, maybe, basically, if you're a skeptical mind, if you've been exposed to what has happened previously in the past and what could potentially happen, and then the agenda to push it and stuff, you just wonder what's in that thing, right? Like, and maybe it is upgrades. Maybe it's like, makes us, there was a conspiracy that said that it makes us compatible with aliens. Before, the UFOs, I heard this is not for me, because I'm not advocating this theory, just putting it out there, that before the Bleeblop 5 comes out, they want to make sure that we can be around them, and that this needs to be, for whatever reason, needs to be distributed before we can, like, make contact with them and physically be present. And we live in weird times. UFO videos, COVID-19, that the jab, and we got goo, and it's just crazy times. And for it's okay to, like, look and be like, what the hell is going on in this world right now? And I agree with you, Kelly. I feel like it just really feels like there's some people calling the shots from the top, and probably extraterrestrials, extra-dimensional. We exposed that in John Podesta's emails, where supposedly they are in contact with the extra-dimensionals. That's, like, in his emails, and he was, like, literally in government, pretty high level, right? And that they're calling the shots, but they kind of, like, it gets down the chain and just starts falling apart. And so we're just seeing the chaos, right? From this top-down strategy, just kind of like messily being implemented. And it does really feel like we're on our way towards something.
Or something.
It's gonna something's about to pop. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. And even like in I don't know, in a weird feeling, you know, from vibrational or something. Like something's like either approaching or coming, or this is like something's happening. You know, that's just my outer feeling of, you know, putting my my vibrations out there. It's like a pushback. You know, that's what it feels like to me. And it's, you know, every day it seems like something. You know, it's like swells. You know, it's ready to just to pop. What's going to happen? So we'll just see in the days come.
We'll keep watching. We'll pay attention. That's what That's what we do here. Keep an eye on the news and make sure that if something's on the way, we'll be ahead of it for sure. Ash, you want to tell them about our track record with COVID? Oh yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a sec. Kelly, anything else, Kelly? We got you on. I don't want to run you off. You're welcome to stay. You know.
Oh man, I got to get to bed. I got to get work in the morning. Comes pretty early in the morning, real quick. So.
Oh yeah.
I just thought I'd call in, maybe chat a little bit. So you guys have a good night.
Appreciate it, my man. Pleasure as always.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you. Thanks, Kelly from Colorado. Always good stuff from Kelly. All right, so we're still taking your phone calls, guys. You want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. You got a take on this? What do you think about this black goo stuff? Again, we're calling it black goo, but it's not really that, is it? It's more like a mysterious new Borg DNA seems to assimilate genes from different organisms. Well, but that sounds an awful lot like black goo, doesn't it? Especially when you find it in the backyard.
Way worse. Holy shit.
Exactly.
That sounds way worse.
Especially when you find it in the backyard in the mud. It's like, oh, by the way, guess what's in the backyard? Yeah, crazy stuff. Again, taking your phone call, 702-957-1037. So you had some DNA facts you wanted to read too. Let's get that in this show. Let's do the thing, man.
Yeah. Hey guys, let's go nerdy. Let's learn about the shit that we're made of, right? Like DNA. It's pretty insane that this code is everything. You see that crab and you and your kid and the birds in the sky and the bacteria and the fungus. If you're alive, you got DNA in it. So let's learn a little bit more about like DNA and like what it does and why is it so freaking crazy, you know? So I have some DNA facts from Ancestry.com, the CIA, basically. pretty much. Yeah, I mean, you know what? My human form did a DNA test, and there's like a part of me that's like they call it the something like the abyss, staring into the abyss. It's something where you like it's sort of like a morbid curiosity. It's like I become aware of things that are like probably bad, and then I'm like compelled to do them. Like I have Alexas everywhere. You know, that's like man, I shouldn't do Alexa. Like I shouldn't. They're going to be like, look, it's listening to me right now. Freaking flagging me right now. I'm going to get raided by tomorrow morning because of some crazy shit I said tonight. And I still did it anyway. So, what was I talking about?
DNA facts.
DNA facts. So let's get back to DNA facts before I tangent off there. So, okay. So here's some DNA facts from Ancestry.com. Right. So I did Ancestry.com. Even though I knew, like, them having my genetics could only be bad for me in the future. But whatever, screw it. So, here's some facts from Ancestry. Your DNA could stretch from the Earth to the Sun 600 times. That's how...
And back.
Long... And back 600 times. 600 times! I think it takes, like, 10 minutes or 5 minutes or something like that for, like... when we went to the moon, we had to wait like 5 minutes for the signal to go back and forth, right? So that's just the moon. So imagine that your DNA is so long that you can go to the sun and back 600 times. So if you unwound it and linked it together, the strands of DNA, each of your cells would be 6 feet long. With 100 trillion cells in your body, that means if all your DNA were put to the end, it would stretch over 110 billion miles. That's insane. Here's another fact. I was talking about how we're all connected, but we're all actually 99.9% alike. So of the 3 billion base pairs in the human genome,
only 0.1% are unique to us. While that 0.1% still makes us unique, it makes us, human versus a fish. It means that we're more similar than different, a lot more. So Earth has like a standard, right, of code. It's most of it. It's over 99. It's 99.9%. So that's pretty crazy. Wait, I think I read that right. The human genome unique to us. Well, that. Oh, okay, yeah, literally to humans. And so race is even like, people talk about racism. It doesn't even make sense. Racism doesn't even make sense because the variations between us are so minute in our code base and our DNA. It's literally nothing. You couldn't even point it out, right? It's like what collection of attributes are you even talking about, right? That we're more similar to the fish than not. So pretty nuts. Yeah, so your genes only make up 3% of your DNA. So that's basically all the programming. And the rest of the DNA controls the activity of your genes. A DNA test can reveal that you're more Irish than your siblings, meaning that, as DNA is passed on, and it's so much variation that there could be pretty significant variation that you could just get, you could be like Pocahontas. What's her name? Where you just
Pocahontas? wait.
What's that politician?
Oh,
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas. Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, where you have Native American in your gene pool, but you don't have quite enough to really use it as a politician to virtue signal. So she got
like politics.
Yeah, she got,
and race is another thing entirely.
That's like I know someone who's like they have a lot of Puerto Rican pride, and then they did a DNA test, and it's like you're just a European who stopped in Puerto Rico for 2 generations.
Exactly. Point being, you guys see the hue of my skin here. My whole family's Mexican on one side. Like literally, like if you saw my brother and my sister, you would be like, "Wow, they're Mexican." You look at me, and I'm like I always call myself a soap opera Mexican, which is why, to Ash's point, it pisses me off. It's true though, right? Like it pisses me off that people are so locked into how so it's not even about genetics or nationality or any of that. It's about the perception of those things, right? That's the political lean here. And that's why it pisses me off with this identity politics. Because literally, if you put me in a lineup, there'll be like that white guy over there, right? But I'm not. I mean, literally on genetically, I'm not. It's just that I look that way. So it's not even the reality of the situation. It's the perception of what you want to perceive as your political, right? It's a bunch of bullshit. Right. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. And so literally when people are like, look at race first. No, you're an asshole and you're a racist. I don't care what you say, period. I don't care how you frame it. If you're literally looking at race first all the time, you're a racist. And that's it. If you're not looking at people first as people, I'm sorry. I'll debate anybody on that too. If you want to come on and twist that shit 7 ways from Sunday, I'll fucking cut to the chase and be like, well, what am I? Right? There's this intersectionality bit. I'm tangenting because it pisses me off. So forgive me for a sec.
Oh no, yeah, no, it's cool, man. And we live in that's a lot of that's coming out of the universities, right? And it's they a lot of the universities got funding for fighting the man. Basically, a lot of these studies, these social studies, I just call them fighting the man funds. And feminism, fighting for gay rights, these are all good things, right? Made progress. But at some point, it's when you get everything you need, where you got to keep fighting the man. You got to keep finding more men to fight, And it's literally there's only one type that is the man left, and everyone else gets to fight that man. And it's just weird. It's gross. We've been porking each other for long enough. We're all mixes of crazy stuff. There's so many families of Spanish and white, black and white. We're all mixed, and at some point, it just doesn't even make sense anymore, right?
Like we said, 99.9% alike. Is it really being pissed off because somebody looks a little bit different? We all look different from each other, don't we? I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
no, and on that, and then the other side of the fence, right? It's like, you know, like a traditional racist, like skinheads and stuff. There was actually this African American woman. She was very beautiful, and she would go and approach these racists, and then she would like flirt with them, and they'd be mind fucked. They're like, they're like, oh, she's beautiful. They would like the attention, and then it's like, well, your entire like identity just unraveled in like 2 seconds because like she's hot.
Right,
you know,
right.
It's like it's funny.
I used to talk about that with a friend of mine. What's up? Shout out there. You know who you are. You guys listen to the show. Much love to you and your wife. I know you're out there listening. You know who you are. But the thing is that it's like there's so many inconsistencies with these things, and again, part of living in the upside down, part of why this show is what it is, because we spot these things, we point out the inconsistencies and say WTF is really going on here. So anyway, let's get back to the DNA. We've
sorry. Well, I mean, that's a sore spot for people these days, I think.
Definitely.
It's like
definitely
for sure. Okay, so let's go back to DNA. The human genome contains 3 billion base pairs of DNA. Holy shit. That's why I guess they didn't map it until recently, right? And it's twisted like ladders, and the rungs in the ladders are made of bases, adenine, whatever. I don't know. I'm not even going to thymine. I've heard of that one.
Adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. Those are the 4.
There you go. Wow, look at you.
The guy that called last night, by the way, his name is HB. He was actually saying that they've created over a dozen synthetic versions of this as well. So past these 4. So again, right, we got some weirdness going on. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's kind of it. DNA. The last one is they're trying to plug their service and say you're connected to. You know, it's funny, but you know, with the DNA tests, we are all 1% from Africa, at least, because you know we originate from Africa, and so they stem it back. But I think that their DNA that they sequence is based on like other data, and they compile it together. And I don't think it's 100% accurate because I just gained a bunch of Italian suddenly, you know, and which was pretty minor before. And now it's like, whoa, I'm like way more Italian than I thought it was. So this stuff changes over time, and it doesn't, you know, your geographic location doesn't really matter. But DNA, man, it's crazy. Like, fuck any like building robots. You can literally just go take a dump on a planet, come back millions of years later, and you're mama, papa, you know, you are the god that spawned it. And so people mentioned the black goo in Prometheus, and that's the idea where they come to an uninhabited planet, and someone takes the black goo to break down his DNA, and he becomes the catalyst for seeding that planet, that panspermia. And it's like you all become the planet. All life comes from you. You are the source, which is a pretty fucking gnarly thing. Like, you know, I'm not down for killing myself or anything like that. I'm good, but like, man, to become like the source for like an entire like planet and its life, that's pretty nuts. And it's like a religious thing in there. And it sounds good enough to be true almost, right? Doesn't it? It sounds like some of these movies and shit, I feel like they have some inside knowledge or something. But yeah, you take the black goo to break down, and like it does the opposite, like breaks them up in that. Whereas sometimes the black goo we're talking about pulls it together. It's weird.
It is weird. And so not only that, so when you think of it in the larger term, back to where we started the conversation tonight, this whole mysterious new Borg DNA seems to assimilate genes from different organisms. Very much like the conversation last night. These are very related, except one's synthetic and one's organic, right? Supposedly, we're supposed to believe that this was found in the backyard of this notable Jill Banfield, the actual geomicrobiologist, right? But I mean, so if you think of it in terms of that, we talked about like a brainwash synthetic sort of injection of nano somethings, right? Maybe autonomous nano particles or whatever they were last night. But it's the same thing. like I said, and it meaning that if let's say that you're injected with this and it can interface with the brain and read your thoughts, and clearly if it can do that, it can also put thoughts into your head. And so, like I said last night, is sort of the conversation that also leads into tonight, and this right here is that if you have that and there's something in you, whether it's going to be synthetic or it's organic, and it creates something within you that makes you not you anymore, that becomes an alien, right? And so maybe not extraterrestrial like the normal definition of alien, but it becomes something not you. And so the same thing exists in this exact same scenario today, except, well, we have this mysterious Borg DNA that can assimilate different DNAs as it adds it to itself, right? So at what level can that infect you and change you or turn you into something that you are no longer, right? A pure human, right? It becomes alien to yourself. It's the same thing, except it's not. It's just a kind of a basically I'm tweaking the terms here, right? We're not talking about ETs anymore. We're talking about alien humans, aren't we? We're talking about hybrids. We're talking about transhumanism and where we're headed here. It's all bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of strange. It's like there's been an instinct in our culture to not fuck with certain things, right? Because that's like God's territory, right? And that if you fuck around with that too much, it's like the devil. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's been like this, like when cloning came about, they were like, we shouldn't do this. This is like God's territory, right? Where we're just simple creatures. And there's a wisdom in that. I'm not saying that should be the case. I'm just saying that is a perspective that should be like maintained as we like move forward with all this crazy shit that's going on, and look, what if this thing was created in a lab and they're like, oh fuck, it got out, and now they're just trying to get ahead of the story before this thing starts doing some crazy stuff. I watched this show where there was like this ant, and in the show this ant could like consume other things and like acquire its attributes. Well, it started accidentally consuming some like a dead person, and it started gaining more and more intelligence as it consumed more people, and it got out of hand. It became this like, once it got to a certain competency, it became like a super organism. That like attribute of like stealing the qualities of other organisms is somewhat insane, right? Like that's like the venom, the chimeras, right? And I'm surprised Kelly didn't mention this. The story of the giants is basically like, at some point, the gods were fucking around with DNA too much, and they created these giants from humans and them, and the giants were like eating people and like kind of crazy, and you know what I'm saying? And there's like giant stones, and so we say that these stories are based on fiction, but there are like huge platforms and rocks that look like they were for a prior civilization. And I'm not saying giants are real, but in a lot of literature, a commonality is giants, and that the flood was like, there's too much crazy shit going on, and then they used the flood to reset planet, right?
The Great
and to
Reset.
like get rid of
the ancient
Great Reset. And the giants owned nothing, and they were happy.
They were happy. Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah. Well, again, history repeats itself, doesn't it? And if it's not a flood, it's something else the next time. That's for damn sure.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, it's just frustrating. It's like, what is this reality that we live in that we are allowed to explore? It feels like a children's version of reality, right? And so, I think people, especially people who listen to the show, they just want to know more, man. They freaking look at the world. They just want to know, and they're curious and creative and putting two and two together. And I mean, like, dude, just CRISPR, the ramifications of CRISPR. I watched this whole series about it. How like, okay, if you can have a 6-foot baby, I want a 6-foot baby, and then he wants a 6-foot baby, and then he wants to be immune to all diseases. So does he. So then what happens? Like, the designer babies roll out, but there's this period where inevitability, there's a standard. And then, like, there has to be, we all have to go in this direction. We all have to this and that. And then you look at, like, aliens, like the traditional gray, and they're all, like, basically rubber stamp creations. They're all just, like, the same. So is that, like, naturally where we go, where we kind of lose our humanity? We just rubber stamp ourselves. Once we're opening the Pandora's box on DNA. DNA is fucking wild. And it's like, because it's what we are. It's what we're made of. I mean, soon you're going to be able to take a pill and change your eye color. Everyone's going to have fucking crazy, these Twitch streamers with like crazy hair and shit. They're going to have like, and they already wear contacts. They're going to have fucking bright blue eyes and like shit sticking out their face that blinks and shit. Like I just feel like this is where we're going. And some of it's really cool and exciting. It's cyberpunk kind of shit, but then some of it's like, I don't know about that. And
it's a good idea. As always, right? A troubled mind is like, wait a minute. Like, that's super fucking righteous, but is that really the best idea for the next step of humanity? Yeah.
Right.
And here we are. Here we are talking about it. All right, we got to wrap this up, guys. We're right at 3 hours, so perfect timing here. We got Jay to do the outro, J-tro. Final thought on this, Ash. What do you think?
J-tro.
The J-tro. We're about to do the
I love it.
Yeah. So final thought on this, Ash. We'll go to J-tro. Jay, you're unmuted, so anytime you're ready, buddy. But I don't know. Like, go ahead. I'll give you mine in a sec.
Yeah. I definitely think we need to keep our track of this, right? I think that's the most important thing, and we'll see where this turns out. And it smells a little fishy to me as to how it came about. And it's in science.com or whatever, so it must be true. I read it on the internet. It's got to be true. And pretty crazy stuff. So we'll keep tabs on this, and we'll see where this venom virus black glue shit ends up.
And hopefully it's not another Billie Eilish video. What's up, Jay? Welcome to the show. What's up, buddy?
The crazy thing about the Billie Eilish video, when you were talking about the black goo and stuff like that, is the kids love that song. They know the words to it.
Oh,
They're 5, 6 years old. They sing it in the car. It's almost like a chant.
Like a ritual chant.
Well, but the thing is, though, is as the parent and your kids are singing a song, and it no matter what it is, you are my sunshine or whatever, twinkle, twinkle, little star. When your kids are singing, you love it. But they're singing Billie Eilish.
they're like
the black goo flying out of my eyes.
Yeah.
I bounced out for a little while, and then I catched up on double time. I bounced out to listen to the video for the 4 minutes, and then I catched up on double time, and it was like, wow, don't do the double time. That burns up your brain.
I talked too fast for double time.
But everybody does, everybody does. There's so much to say, so little time to say it.
Yeah, that's okay. We got God willing, we got tomorrow. God willing, we got tomorrow. So
absolutely.
So back to the goo and this whole like Borg, whatever this entity is. What do you think is happening here? Do you think, again, is this like one of those like Ash suggested there? Like maybe they're trying to get ahead of a narrative. Is this thing turns into another fucking worldwide clusterfuck, or is it literally just as synchronistic as this geomicrobiologist walks out back and scoops some dirt? Oh, this novel thing nobody's ever discovered before in my backyard.
I think you and I had an after hours conversation kind of about the brown sites in New York one time. Where they're putting the microbes into the dirt. They go in there and they take out all the asbestos and everything else like that. If I start walking down a road I shouldn't, Mike, cut me off quick.
Okay.
But they do that, and they're just microorganisms, bacteria and stuff like that. Some kid from Cornell decided that if you put them down there in the dirt, it's going to help dissolve the lead or the PCBs or the whatever it is, and turn it back into decent dirt. But the dogs come by there and eat the grass. The birds, eat the bugs that have been eating the grass and stuff like that. Really, what are we doing to ourselves here? We're talking about the that Maxine, that little bitch that always gives us a hard time about talking about anything.
Damn her.
And, well, I mean, but you're adding something new into the mix. And, you know, Darwin is right on the money for that. The fittest are going to survive. And who might that be? How do we know? You know, you look at it's just, you know, do your best, you know, try to stay alert and informed, but always blowing the brain up. And the show was about the black goo.
The black
goo? And that's what I'm always saying is you guys are always getting the black goo flowing. It's like coming out of my ears. Maybe I should be thankful because it's oozing out. It's not in my noggin anymore. You know, I mean, but you know, you watch the science fiction shows and video games and stuff that we play and stuff like that. I think at some point they have to give you a little bit of a hint about what they're doing and how much you want to take that for a weight of what it really, really is. Because I can come up with some pretty crazy stuff in my head, but I'm not coming up with Prometheus. You know what I mean? You know, did Lovecraft see some? I mean, that guy was. You introduced me to him, and you brought me into all of that, and you almost think that he was doing something different than everybody else was doing to come up with those kind of ideas. I mean, it's not. If it is generated right inside of you, that's just proof positive that we know everything about everything. And we just don't know how to get it out of there. It's just, I think we're right on a point where the lies have got to stop. That's all, really. I mean, come on. You know.
That's a resistance is futile. To keep it on point here. Yeah, I mean that's like saying that all the bad people have to be good people now. I mean, it'll never end. Unfortunately, that's part of.
Yeah, it'll never end. But I don't want the little thing on my eye telling you where I am and where I'm going and what my blood pressure is or anything else like that they do in Star Trek.
No thanks.
I don't want that on my. You know.
Agreed. 100%. Do you? No, fuck no. I don't have any of that smart home shit either. I got a deadbolt, and I got a gun, and I got a dog. That's what I got. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're in my yard. I know you're here.
Come at me, bro. Like, I'm not having some kid from Bangladesh open my front door with a smartphone. No thanks. We ain't doing that. We're not doing that. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's finish up, Ash. And any final thoughts here? You already had one, but anything I want to respond to Jay, and then we'll finish this bitch up. Let's roll it. Ow!
Yeah, let's wrap. Let's wrap it up.
Start howling and making weird noises because we're at the end. Ow! There you go. There it is.
You mentioned music videos. I just watched a few. Lady Gaga pops up, and she's doing some fucking Illuminati shit with some shit on her face, and there's like Egyptians and all this symbology. I was like, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm looking at this shit like, what kind of Freemason bullshit are they fucking trying to download me, right? And I look at the comments and I'm expecting to see people go like, holy shit, and they're like, wow, we love you, Lady Gaga, it's so great, you're so creative and special. No, it's like, what the fuck? You don't think
redacted comments?
Yeah, it's like they can't even you like what? How much fucking symbology do you need to shove in this goddamn thing before you go, what the fuck am I watching? Right? Like, at what point does it take? And it's just like the comments are, oh, we love you, Lady Gaga. Oh, you're number one in the industry, you bet. I mean, maybe they're all fake. I don't know. But it's like, wow, I feel like now I'm programmed different now. I can't
There's
like
thousands
plug
of
in
people,
ever again.
Millions of people following them. You know, that Billie Eilish video that playing in the background there. I just wanted to check out what it was so I knew what it is because my kids love Billie Eilish. And they're 4 and 5. They like
go ahead.
The lyrics, not the lyrics, the music itself, the tone, the hypnotic of it. That's what they enjoy. they don't know the words, they make them up.
Right.
You know, and I think that's one of the things.
It's
Right.
like there was one where they did where it was like COVID basically. I think it was before COVID or right as it was starting, and it's like they believe that consciousnesses, like, collectively we make our reality, right? So if you can get all these people to participate, you can get them to kind of manifest reality. But you're seeing like Hollywood and all that infrastructure, that tool breaking down, and you're seeing society kind of breaking down as a result of that. We don't have this cohesion, this kind of direction. So now they're trying to like remove all these extremities, these extra potential pathways from Facebook and stamp them out so that we don't veer down these paths. And whether that's like through like straight up, rock, like, reality, like you see the thing, the thing, and you could do something, or through this manifestation technique, it's all the same. So anyway,
do the propaganda from the 50s and have shows like Leave It to Beaver and Andy Griffith and stuff like that on there. Good old American Family, where you got a garden in your backyard and all that. I mean,
pay your taxes, fight the commies.
Yeah. Nail on the head, Ash. Right there. Bam. Danielson hit it in one shot.
Bam. Sometimes that's the way it goes. All right. So let's go, Jay. You got a quote for us, right? Let's do the J-Tro.
I'm sorry.
You don't?
Let them judge you. No, no, actually I do. I'm sorry. I was just rambling on and not reading the quote.
You're good. Quote's up. You're up, buddy.
Let them judge you. Let them misunderstand you. Let them gossip about you. Their opinions are not your problem. You stay kind, committed to love, and free in your authenticity. No matter what you do or say, do not dare doubt your worth or the beauty of your truth. Just keep shining like you do. And Scott Stable was the guy that said that, and I don't know who he is, but
fucking right.
Was flying around there, and I grabbed it and said it to you.
Fucking right. All right, Ash, plug the channel. Say goodnight.
Beautiful.
I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but do it. Do it.
All right. Don't hit me. Don't hit me. No, don't hit me again. I'm sorry. I'm making the nice. Okay. All right. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. You're still here? What the fuck are you still doing here? Huh? No, I'm joking. Thank you for staying with us. Appreciate you guys. It's always a pleasure to come here and talk about crazy stuff. Today we talked about, the Borg and fucking black goo and stuff. Pretty cool. Next week we'll talk about some more stuff. Maybe we'll talk about Magellan's or the Malellan's or disease. I don't know. But I'll probably stream this week, so check out my channel. If you don't want to miss it, I'll be live in my reptilian form, jamming out to some 80s synthwave music and shit. So, yeah, I'm Ash, the Reptilian from Mars. Appreciate you guys listening in. I'll be here next Wednesday, and join my YouTube channel, or you will be executed. Thanks.
Always with a light outro. All right, guys. This is Tro.
Thank God I like it.
Amen. I'm Mike. We're here with Ash and Jay for the J-Tro, the J outro. And as you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. So we'll be back tomorrow night, God willing. And of course, the deal is this. The great conversation continues. So thanks again for spending time with us. Thanks again for all the thoughtful chat, all the thoughtful calls. And we'll be back for more. We'll be back for more. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thanks for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, guys, have a great night.